Well, life comes at you fast. We knew it was going to be a struggle. This was the first test for the Lobo men's basketball team on the court last night against Boise State, and it turned out to be an eye-opening experience for a lot of people. They didn't learn a lot about themselves in Houston. They're going to find out who they are in Boise over these 3 days. They needed to play a good basketball team, and they find out that they have a lot of work to do. But it was expected. Now, I don't know the margin of defeat. There are definitely some eye-opening things as well offensively for the Lobos. But if you didn't expect them to struggle, you just had unrealistic expectations. However, watching this team last night against Boise State, the team that was picked second in the Mountain West Conference preseason poll, a Lobo basketball team with 12 new players on the roster. Are your feelings the same? Do you have more questions? What are your expectations now for Game 2 Wednesday night in Boise? What it do, everyone? Welcome into the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, Micah, got Alden and Josh holding it down on ProView Networks. You can watch the show, Comcast Channel 26. Also stream us on Facebook. Search ProView or the opening drive to find the stream and interact. But today, I want to hear your thoughts on Lobo basketball. Now, when it comes to the offense, it's what I expected. I figured they'd struggle going up against a team with legitimate size and athleticism. I didn't think it would be that bad in terms of shot creation and their identity. But what are the Lobos? I think that's one of the biggest takeaways for me is they really didn't commit to one thing last night. We heard that they wanted to defend, wanted to be tough inside, finish those defensive possessions with rebounds, get out in transition, but they didn't do that. They didn't create havoc defensively. It was a press, but there wasn't a lot of trapping. There wasn't a lot of pressure on Boise State. Then on the offensive end for the Lobos, the athleticism, the length of Boise really made it difficult. You didn't see a lot of dribble drive offense. You saw a lot of passes that were deflected, attempting cross-court passes, trying to switch play, which played into Boise State's hand. So while it was a struggle, the takeaways for me are I still have a ton of question marks what this team is going to do offensively. They struggled to shoot. They did not do good from the free throw line of Lobos last night, just 10 of 19. And that was with getting into the bonus with almost 13 and a half minutes to play in the second half, but they couldn't take advantage of that as they missed the front end of 2 1-and-1s in that situation. The little things that this team needs, even early in the season, to be competitive, got away from them in the second half. But you see this Lobo basketball team, why Paul Ware talks so much about defense and rebounding and trying to be aggressive, because they lack that creativity offensively. So it was an eye-opening experience. I figured it'd be rough. It was a little rougher than even I anticipated in game against Boise State, but it's a reminder that's a pretty good basketball team up there. Mountain West preseason player of the year, Derek Alston. See some of the other guys rounding in the form. Akat, Kajib were really good, and the Lobos struggled to contain those guys in transition and really in the half-court game. And then the size inside. We knew that post play was going to be a process like everything else for this Lobo basketball team. But Matos, Manuel struggled against some legitimate size inside. So with all that being said, it was game one of a 20-game Mountain West Conference schedule. I know there's already some frustration, especially given the fact this is the biggest conference opening loss that Paul Ware has ever had. It's the biggest conference opening loss for the Lobos since 1993, January 2nd, when they lost at Utah. But it's also an incredibly different situation with this team not having a gym to practice in. It was something Paul Ware talked about after the game. No excuses, right? It's what they're dealing with, what they have to deal with. But it's little things like just guys getting shots up, guys being able to go shoot free throws, guys being able to go take 1,000 jump shots, 500 jump shots, whatever they may do when they have some of the free time. They don't have that ability. And when they have court ability, they got to practice. And Paul Ware said it after the game. That's the challenge for them right now. They have to take advantage of all the live action situations they have. They need to just practice basketball. And then all those things you expect a player to do outside of that really can't, unless you roll up a hoop to wherever outside of the hotel they're staying. Some of these guys get a jump shot. These are the real challenges that the Lobos have to deal with in the moment, figure out how to develop a basketball team in a challenging situation. And last night, first half, you kind of scrapped, made it ugly, figured that this is what the Lobos are going to have to do for a little while they wait for someone else to step up outside of Makwash Malawach. Malawach was the only player to score in double figures last night. He was 5 of 12 from the field. And you saw the difference in Boise State when they started to open things up. It was also Ray J. Dennis, their point guard. He was creating. He was hitting mid-range jumpers. He was getting to the basket. He was getting others involved. And the Lobos didn't have that player. I thought there were spurts where Saquon Singleton looked like that guy, being aggressive, getting to the rim, getting some looks for other people. Jeremiah Francis really struggled. But they get a chance to get right back out on the court. And I asked Paul Ware that after the game, the advantages or disadvantages in a situation like this. When you have a rough game, a lot of players will say, well, I can't wait until I get back out there, and I can't wait till we can take the court again. And you get that in a quick turnaround playing Wednesday night. But it's also a situation where this team has a lot of stuff to work on, and you can't get back to the practice court to start addressing that. You just gotta hope the mindset, the confidence remains for these players to get right back at it on Wednesday. I think what you want to see, and not just a better response for this team offensively, which that's my biggest question. I'm definitely curious. All your takeaways from the opener. You can get involved. Quan's Auto Care hotline is 246-0610. You can email the show, jj@610catamount.com. Of course, find us on the Facebook, and you can follow me on the Twitter _JJBuck. A lot of reaction that we'll get to throughout the morning. Your thoughts on the opener is, where is the offense going to come from? You saw Keith McGee start the second half. They're trying to look for that shooting burst. He was 2 for 3 from 3-point range in the first half. Unfortunately, Keith McGee just about a minute or so in sprains his ankle. He's out, so he's questionable going into Wednesday. You saw some more minutes from the freshman Javonte Johnson. So Paul Ware is trying to figure out where some shooting is going to come from, because they didn't go with this one thing. Now, if you're going to struggle to shoot, well, then you got to be all in creating havoc. You got to be all in on the press, trying to get baskets and transition. They really weren't there. Well, then if you're not doing that great, then you have to be aggressive. The ball movement has to be quick. You have to work your half-court sets. You have to get to the rim. They didn't really do that, but it was an eye-opening experience where he said it was maybe a slice of humble pie for some guys, but still 12 new players on this Lobo roster. Not a lot of practice time together. Not a lot of games against other opponents, or even just good opponents. Our Lady of the Lake, the Torah last week, you credit those teams for showing up and playing, but you didn't learn anything about the Lobos. Yesterday, you finally learned something about the Lobos, and that is they have a lot of work to do when it comes to playing against a good basketball team. So we'll get your reaction throughout the morning, start to break it down, and it was. Yes, just one game in the 20-game Mountain West Conference schedule. And I thought a good result for the Lobos would be a split over these 2 games. That looks like it's going to be challenging to do, but now it's time to respond. What are these guys going to look like on Wednesday? What are your takeaways from last night's game? I still have a lot of questions about what this team can do offensively. I think, though, they can get to a level where they're competitive. They can stay in games defensively. They did that throughout the first half at times with the deflections, playing tough. But there comes a point when you keep missing shots, you're not scoring on the other end, you can only defend for so long. And that was what we saw happen last night. The Lobos are scrapping, they're trying, they're grinding in that first half. But when the shots just kept not falling, you're not creating offense, and you kind of start to turn the basketball over, that's when Boise State was able to go on their run at one point in time in the second half. It was 25-5, blow the game open, and thus here we are. Final score 77-53 in favor of the Broncos last night. So we'll take your calls throughout the morning. Quan's Auto Care hotline is 246-0610. Your reactions to the Lobos opener last night. Right back at it tomorrow. It's these 2-game series in 3 days in Mountain West play. So you sleep on it, you get back to work, whatever work you can do over the next 2 days before tip-off on Wednesday night, and see how the Lobos will respond. We come back on the other side. There's a lot more questions if we're talking about offense when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they are in trouble. A team that was feeling good, potentially at one point in time. Could this team go undefeated? They have lost the last 3 games. What is happening to the Pittsburgh Steelers? Talk about that next. JJ Buck, Micah, got Alden, got Josh hanging on ProView. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Call it as Javi's looking, and he's got a guy wide open, and it's Gay, and he's gonna walk into the end zone. But he did a good job with it. 1st and goal, it's Chavez to the middle, and Chavez stops.
And Stevens in motion. On the handoff to Mitchell. Look out! Oh, see you later. Take it to the house. Fly, Cardinals fly. To the other side, provide some protection. And off to Webskowski again. Look out! See you later. Good night. Touchdown, Webskowski. An 8. 2 receivers at the top. Harris has all day. He's going to fire to the end zone. Open man. Touchdown. Wildcats. Not a defender inside. A little bit. Webskowski on the sideline. Hasta mañana. He's off to the races. Touchdown, Clovis.
Albuquerque this afternoon.
34-24. Rancho late in the 3rd. How about this run? Nice play. Dickerman. He's still on his feet. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Exactly what they want to get yards.
He's going to go for it. He's got a guy towards the end zone. It's grabs. Touchdown. What a play.
And long here for the Storm. Handoff to, we're going to fake the handoff, excuse me. Davidson on the deep ball. He's got some space, and it's caught. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Storm. Wow. Santa Maria.
And so they'll send one deep and returnable at the 2. Usually Volcano do either a reverse or a fake reverse, and here it is a reverse. And a move to the outside. There is a lane. Look out! Shot out of a cannon. Rodriguez is going to take it all the way.
I'll just get a little closer.
Oh, instead it's a gorgeous pass.
Here's what he'll
They're taking away some of the underneath stuff, so we wanted to take some shots down the field, and the disconnect was probably just me not making it happen. I would say that I'm not consistent enough, which affects the offense because the ball's in my hand every play. High frustration.
27-17, Cincinnati over Pittsburgh. We assumed, right, this is a game Pittsburgh should have, but you can't assume in the NFL. Pittsburgh is a bad football team right now. Alden just asked, did they peak too soon? I'm asking, did they ever peak at all? The second easiest strength of schedule to this point in time in the NFL. I get it. They handled their business. They did what they had to do. But to think just a few weeks ago, before that loss to the Washington football team, we were wondering, man, could Pittsburgh go undefeated? How good is this football team? And now you're wondering, are they going to even be able to compete when they get to the playoffs? This 2 seed now in the AFC is Buffalo. Well, that's a question as well, is do you want that 2 seed if, say, Baltimore wins out and is the 7 seed? However, it is about the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal. JJ Buck, Micah, Alden, and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. Last night, you continued to show the issues with Ben Roethlisberger. One, the Steelers can't run the football with or without James Conner. The offensive line is struggling. They've relied on the passing game, short passes, quick, get the football out, get it to the outside. That hasn't been there the last few weeks. They can't stretch the football down the field. Ben Roethlisberger looks like he's playing quarterback in quicksand, right? Father Time is undefeated. He came back from that elbow injury. He looked good at times early in the season. Yes, the Steelers did what they had to do, but right now it is all crashing down on them. And this is one where, all right, you have defensive injuries. You've lost a lot at the linebacker position, have the Steelers, because that was a stout defensive unit. Well, now that's a question. You had Ryan Finley, third string quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, have himself a fantastic time in prime time last night, rushing for a touchdown, moving the football around. And then the Bengals defense showing up, going back to those issues for Ben Roethlisberger. It's simple as that. They're a bad football team, and I don't know how you change that, because the only thing you can rely on is, well, hopefully Ben Roethlisberger all of a sudden just finds the fountain of youth and clicks back in, because they're not getting those guys back anytime soon defensively. They're not running the football, as I said, with or without James Conner. Steelers are in big trouble right now.
You know it's telling when this is the same team that the Cowboys manhandled last week to beat 30-7, and then the Bengals just go out and take out the Steelers like it's nothing.
And these issues have been kind of creeping into play, not just the last 30 weeks, but really overall with the Steelers. It's one where you can only play who's in front of you, right? It's not like the Steelers aren't scheduling power conference opponents. They didn't turn down games. Like, this was their schedule this year. They went out there, won 11 games, like, all right, we're feeling pretty good about themselves. But then, boom, you had that test against Washington, which really started to expose their flaws. The defense started to get injured, and now you're at a point where I don't know how it gets better. Like, how are the Steelers supposed to all of a sudden be better at offense when their offense is a short passing game? Teams are sitting on that. Ben Roethlisberger can't go down the field. You're not running the football. You can only overcome so much defensively when you're down 3 to 4 linebackers, like your starting core is gone. The Steelers are in a bad position. And that is why it was very easy to start saying, once you start looking away from the record and just looking at the football team, that, yeah, they might have been sitting there at number 2 in the AFC. They weren't the second best team in the AFC. They might not even be, right now in this moment, the top 7 football team. Like, the teams in front of them, are you taking the Dolphins over them right now? Are you taking the Ravens over them right now? They might be like the 8th best team in the AFC.
I'd take the Raiders over them right now.
I don't know if I'd go that far, taking the Raiders over them in this situation. But it is what you have to deal with. Like, it's not one you can say, oh, good job for what you did. It's about, what are you doing moving forward? What is your positioning? How are you playing going into the playoffs? And they were playing some of the worst football in the NFL. And that's one you look and go, how does this change? Like, Big Ben isn't just going to snap his fingers and all of a sudden be like, oh, now I'm feeling loose. Now the football's going downfield. And this also comes after yesterday. Big Ben story comes out talking, he wants to be back next year. He wants to be the quarterback of the Steelers. That's great. I just don't know if he can do it anymore, because this whole team right now is about Ben Roethlisberger having to do everything, and he can't. And that's not changing for the Steelers. They're not going to show up next week and all of a sudden be able to run the football for 150 yards. So it is a huge problem. And then all of a sudden Cleveland's sitting there going, we might even be able to win this division. The Cleveland Browns coming back when you're sitting there looking at an 11-0 Pittsburgh Steelers team. And now the Steelers are just grinding. They know they're going to the playoffs. I think they have to feel like they're going to get into the postseason, right? They're not going to fall out of the playoffs with 11 wins. They're comfortable there. But when they get there, what are they going to look like? And I don't think it's going to look much different than what we saw the last couple of weeks.
It's going to be a fun matchup, Week 17, Steelers-Browns for the division.
Yeah, and that is a Cleveland team that knows their identity. We've seen it. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Baker Mayfield showing positive flashes throughout the season. They are trending in the right direction. And the Steelers are going in the wrong direction really quick. And look at the playoff race now. Kansas City, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh. And they talk about as well, Baltimore, they went out, they get in that 7 seed. You saw Miami, whereas Tennessee, Indianapolis battling for the AFC South. Cleveland coming. I think the AFC playoffs, much like the NFC, it's going to be fascinating. The 7 teams this year, it's odd, it's different, but it's going to work because when it gets to the postseason, you're going to get good games. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are a team you're looking at, and it's bumps in the road, right? It's a week-to-week league. I don't know how they're changing this right now. It doesn't look like there's light at the end of this tunnel for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that was just a reminder in that first half, 7 passing yards. 7. Against the Cincinnati Bengals. As Micah pointed out, a team that the Dallas Cowboys dominated just 2 weeks ago. So challenges in Pittsburgh. Big Ben wanting to play longer. The question is, can he even play right now? And did they peak too soon? I don't even know if they peaked this season. Quarterback with cement feet. Can't push football down the field. One-dimensional offense. That's not good at that one dimension, which is passing. And late in the season, these things linger. This was week 3. Like, all right, let's figure it out. Not sure the Pittsburgh Steelers can figure it out right now. Quan's Auto Care hotline is 246-0610. You can email the show, jj@610canamo.com. Continue to get your reaction. The Lobos conference opener last night against Boise State. A 77-53 loss for the Lobos. Worst conference opening loss in the Paul Ware era. Worst loss since 93. I knew it was going to be a struggle, but what were your takeaways from last night's game? And what are you expecting to see on Wednesday? First reaction to the Steelers last night, what that means for the AFC playoff picture moving forward. I'm going to come back on the other side. As bowl season started yesterday, we see these teams getting an opportunity to finish the year with a win. It's such an odd year. What is bowl season going to mean? But the question is a conference really better than another in a year like this? And do we have to worry about Boise State football moving forward? That's next. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal. Boise State become the new BYU? The team you want to root against, especially when it just comes to football, on the football field. There's no doubt about it. Boise State football has earned it. The blue turf, the success, bowl game wins, Fiesta Bowl. The 2014 was the last time they were in a New Year's Six bowl game, and they haven't been running the Mountain West football world lately. San Jose State, your Mountain West champs. San Jose State controlled Boise State from start to finish on Saturday to finish their undefeated season. Not the case for the Broncos this year. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the sports animal. JJ Buck, got Micah, got Alden, Josh holding us down on the Pro View side. Of course, it is bowl week, so Jeff Siembieda in Frisco, Texas, getting ready for the New Mexico Bowl to be played on Christmas Eve. So a new tradition this year. Fingers crossed, hopefully it's just a one-year tradition for all of us, enjoying the game from home, but watching the New Mexico Bowl, which will be played in Texas, but still flavor of New Mexico throughout that game and the broadcast. Well, Boise State, and we talked about the noise that came out when Brian Harsin, their head coach, had emails arise back in September. And that was when there was uncertainty of what the Mountain West was going to do. Were they going to play? Was it going to be a delayed schedule? You know, there were so many questions that they didn't have answers for at the time. Then Brian Harsin was pushing, hey, we need to take football out of the Mountain West and go somewhere else to better the Broncos football program. Well, more came out after more public's record request work done up in Boise. Had the Idaho Statesman get some records, and it was conversation about the AAC. So indeed it was going from the Mountain West to the American Athletic Conference. And on the surface, that doesn't feel like a huge step up. Maybe the top has been better over the last few years, and you do have to give them credit because 5 of the last 6 group of 5 appearances in that New Year's Six game have come from the AAC. So when you're looking at Cincinnati, UCF, along that's pretty good. But is that a lot different, say, than Boise State and San Diego State? I don't think so. But in these records requests, it came out that Boise State was doing their internal survey of the situation, and they estimated that they could potentially make upwards of $10 million more in revenue going to the American Athletic Conference. Ding, light bulb goes off. Well, that makes a ton of sense. If you can add $10 million more to your athletic department, that is why you try to make a move like that. Now, I'm not 100% sure if that number makes a ton of sense, because in it they projected upwards of $2.75 million in new ticket revenue. So they're talking about exciting the Bronco fan base. Like, more people are going to show up to watch them play Navy and Tulane and East Carolina and Temple and South Florida, which is the bottom of the conference, because every conference has a bottom. That doesn't excite you. It happens. You got teams trying to work their way up. But there is a lot of noise that the Mountain West is going to have to deal with. Craig Thompson over the weekend said he had no comment about the situation, said a relationship with Boise State was fine, with Brian Harsin was fine. But Harsin's going to continue to push this narrative, and it's one that Boise State fans believe in. They feel the Mountain West is holding them back. The American Athletic Conference, you do have to acknowledge, somehow, some way, does have a better reputation than the Mountain West. It does, and they've done a good job presenting that. So now it's on the Mountain West to push back against that narrative. And so, the American Athletic Conference, while I can't buy into it's deeper. Cincinnati was good, but guess what? They're still on the outside looking in. UCF had an undefeated season. They're on the outside looking in. Now, if you add Boise State to it, yeah, that starts to push their brand a step ahead of everyone else in the group of 5. It absolutely does. But overall, outside of the revenue potential that is there, if those are true numbers indeed, I think for the most part, it's pretty equal to what you see in the Mountain West. But this is a real thing the Mountain West is going to have to deal with, because Brian Harsin wants out. He wants that program in a better position, and it looks like they're sold on the AAC being that better position. And so you start asking yourself, okay, the Mountain West has bent over backwards for Boise State. They've given them, the sweetheart deal initially. If you go about back a decade to this first conference realignment talk, when we thought that there might have been a chance to see Boise State, San Diego State end up in the Big East, and all that went on, and then the Mountain West stayed the same. But you have to start thinking forward, and I don't know what you can do football-wise in the Mountain West to solidify yourself if Boise State were to leave. Now, there's things I think they could have done basketball-wise even a couple years ago to help the conference on that front, but we know what really drives the monetary needle is football. And so if you're thinking, all right, what's next, and what is plan B if Boise State indeed has enough push to join the AAC in football only? Now it's putting all their other sports in limbo, men's and women's basketball, etc., because the AAC has expressed interest in just Boise State as a football team. And then so you have other coaches, which, their feelings might be hurt, but we know what runs the world, right? It's football. Where are they going to go? Is it Big West? Is it West Coast Conference? So this isn't as simple as they just want to move their football program, but I think there's a lot more to this than just noise from Brian Harsin. So you just kind of have to start preparing yourself for the Mountain West. And I don't know where you go football-wise. I know Aggie fans are sitting there raising their hand going, well, we got a D1 football team. We're ready to go. Yeah, it would be one that you could slide in, keep the 12-team divisions, good to go. But in terms of improving your product, really what it comes down to is the schools that you have performing. And this past season, 7 of the 12 coaches in the Mountain West are first or second year coaches. So the schools realized they needed a change. They needed to rebuild, and or in case of Hawaii, like Nick Rolovich took the Washington State job because he had a good football program. So they're trying to get better. These schools were in a tough situation where you had a lot of turnover at the same time with struggling football teams. But we've seen, at least in the Mountain Division, there can be some stability. We'll see what Blake Anderson does at Utah State. They have a new football coach coming in. We know Wyoming can be a quality program in this division. Air Force, year in and year out, Troy Calhoun gets it done. Colorado State, they've been living off that new stadium, but at some point in time, they're going to have to put it to use in recruiting and on the football field. And of course, the hype around here with Danny Gonzalez moving forward. So that's the Mountain Division competing with Boise State. But the conference as a whole, you still have San Diego State, which is an established program. I think Jay Norvell at Nevada, Brett Brandon, San Jose State, who just won the conference. We're seeing these schools take a step forward. Now, there's a lot of work to be done because you want the marquee non-conference win. You want to have a good bowl season, which is going to be challenging this year because outside of the college football playoff and some of those New Year's Six matchups, I don't know you can take away a lot. You have 2-win teams. You have 3-win teams in bowl games. Like, it's a year you're playing to finish it out. You're playing to put on these games and then just get on to next season. So the big question is, after all that, weighing it out, if Boise State does move, what can the Mountain West do?
See,
and it's a pause because there's not a good answer football-wise.
And I think the most promising thing for the Mountain West was to have San Jose State win that Mountain West title. And because that's real promising for the rest of the conference to see a team like San Jose State, who used to be at, the bottom of the bottom in the conference, rise and progress and get to the top. So now you're looking at New Mexico and Danny Gonzalez and some of these other teams who have started that rebuild, looking at San Jose State like, okay, we can do this, which is very promising to make this conference, what Boise State wants it to be.
And everyone else does want it to be that. And I think what it does, this sense that Brian Harsin wants out, the Boise State fan base will rally around that. They look down on the rest of the conference. But it also, come football season, possibly start building some rivalry. Like, you got to win. Like, a rivalry game has to be close. But I think that even building some of the animosity from the other fan bases add some interest, add some intrigue. Boise State's the team you want to beat. You know, it was that much sweeter for San Jose State winning the Mountain West title because you got to do it over Boise State. And when a team wins the Mountain Division, which Boise State doesn't do every single year, by the way, but when you do, it means you've beat Boise State. And so that's still the team that in the Mountain Division overall teams are clamoring to beat. But San Diego State will sit there and say, hey, over the last decade, other than 2014, and they had that Fiesta Bowl appearance, Boise State's not running laps around San Diego State. Like I said, they're not just running laps around the entire conference. They have the pedigree. They do have a good resume overall. So this is one where if it does mean that you get $10 million more, I get that. Like, I understand that putting that money back in your athletic department is a huge boost. But just straight from football perception, what you can be, is adding Boise State, does that take the AAC to a power conference? I don't think it does. I think that the P5, the group of five, this is set in stone. And it's going to take everyone coming together, not just one school joining a conference, because there's this pipe dream from Boise State fans like, well, Boise State's going to go, and then it's going to be BYU, and then it's going to be San Diego State, and you're going to create this power conference in the American Athletic. And that's just not going to happen, because you still have other sports to worry about at all those schools and where they're going to go, because the AAC, like I said, is not clamoring to take in all those programs at this point in time. But for that seat at the table, which is a New Year's Six Bowl appearance, which does just mean more money for your program, more money for your conference. But for it to ever get to a point where maybe you can have a seat at the college football playoff and at least get one team in there, it's going to come down to the entire group of five coming together, pushing your back, saying, hey, the structure, you want to throw us this bone for the New Year's Six, let's open us up and get us a seat at the college football playoff table and go from there, not just one team joining conference. Quan's Auto Care hotline is 246-0610. You can email the show, jj@610knml.com. Bowl season is here. It started yesterday, the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Some more games today. Looking forward to the New Mexico Bowl on Christmas Eve in Frisco, Kirky. Jeff Siembieda down in Texas, getting some work done, Hawaii and Houston. So we'll talk about that throughout the week. And you remember some prior New Mexico Bowls. This is year number 15 for the game. Yes, rocking the Central Michigan sweater today, participant in one of the many New Mexico Bowls, but also looking forward for college athletics. As difficult as it's been, bowl season is weird. It's simple as that. It is weird this year. So the takeaways in terms of what it means to the end of the season is great for the winners. The conference conversation, Boise State moving forward. And these are all issues that you have to address, but you got to remember, the Mountain West champ is San Jose State. We come back on the other side. So who was the real winner? The real winner in that Jets-Rams game on Sunday. The Goffle performance from the Rams, but win number one for the New York Jets. Talk about that on the other side. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
It's his second field goal. He's got 4 points. Watson, though, goes all the way.
Hit the deck, I should say. Cordova tried to throw it off. Romero, a 3 for...
Set out to Jutapia. Nice move behind his back. It's a good... Here's Ramos, step back, high arcing, 20!
he needed to get his legs back under him.
Ooh, a little kick.
They leave it one more time. Two-hand hammer.
Look at this, they're not going to score again. Look at this.
Up top. Yes, and the finish for Akbayosi. Saved into the hands of Riak ahead of the pack to Davina Lovato. Up high, down hard for Akbayosi. Out of the corner, Casals, the 3-0, Katenge! Let me clean up the mess! He dropped out of the rafters for that one, Steve.
Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in. He got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides looking, still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. One man to beat. Touchdown. Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
Third and 6. Big defensive play coming up here. Little trickery to Reese. See you later. Touchdown. They went for the deep ball to Reese.
To the right, single receiver split to the left. Play fake, head up the middle's got some room. 50, 45, 40, has one man to beat. 30, 25, 10, 5, touchdown. Touchdown, Hope.
Wow.
On a
Option again. He'll keep it. Now he'll pitch it. Comes out to the 30, 25, 20, up the sideline. Still inbounds into the end zone. Let's see.
Touchdown.
Touchdown. Portel.
The outside of running an out route.
Davison in the play action, looking. He's going to go back to Lewis, and Lewis makes a cut, and Lewis still on his feet. Dorian Lewis is in for a touchdown.
Back to tossing. He's got all day. Next one miss, and he's rolling. He's got a guy. Can he get it there? Davison to Luke Weissong.
We told you he
touchdown.
Could spin that football, and that was a throw right there. I know he's got the win at his back, but.
Shoot. They'll get one off, and it'll count high off the window.
Oh my gosh.
There's a long three.
Boom.
Bang.
Still have a lot to get into when it comes to Lobo basketball. Their 77-53 loss last night at Boise State. Back on the court tomorrow night to wrap up their first 2-game conference series. We did find out officially the Lobos will host home series at Lubbock Christian University. So their next 2 Mountain West series will be played there, but a lot of work to do. And what kind of response will we see from Lobo basketball on Wednesday nights? The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, Micah, Alden, and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. So the real winner wasn't just the New York Jets from their 23-20 victory in Los Angeles over the Rams. It's going to end up being Sam Darnold, because as we sit here right now, the 1-loss Jaguars, 1-loss Jets, the tiebreaker is in favor of Jacksonville for the number 1 overall pick. And that means you get Trevor Lawrence. And that is a fantastic prize at this point in time, because Trevor Lawrence, of the quarterback prospects over the last few years, we've seen guys hit. He's the best of the bunch. And that is talking about Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert and Tua, guys that have played well this season. You have Tua Tagovailoa leading a potential playoff team right now. You can go back a few years and seen evolution of, that quarterback class that Sam Darnold was in. Josh Allen has become Lamar Jackson, but Trevor Lawrence has that it factor. He's got kind of that Andrew Luck buzz around him coming in. And he was the biggest winner on Sunday, because he would still have a job if they do not get Trevor Lawrence. Because if that is the case, if you're sitting there, the Jets at number 2, you're keeping Sam Darnold. You're not taking Justin Fields at that point in time, especially with 2 years left. Year 4, you pick up that 5th-year contract option for a first-round pick. So he's still under control for 2 more years with the New York Jets under that relatively cap-friendly rookie quarterback contract. And then if you're sitting there at number 2, either grab best offensive or defensive lineman, pass rusher at this point in time, building the trenches, especially when you have Mikael Becton, the rookie left tackle that looks like he is a franchise player there. Maybe get someone on the right, just make life great for Sam Darnold, bring in a pass rusher, or there's someone really like Justin Fields and you trade out. So it's making, of course, lemonade out of sour lemons that they were dealt after that victory over the Rams, getting out of the Trevor Lawrence situation. So Sam Darnold is the biggest winner from that game. If Trevor Lawrence isn't available, Sam Darnold still has a starting quarterback job in the NFL moving forward. And you start thinking about best player available, moving it for more draft capital, etc., with a new coaching staff will make Jets fans really happy moving forward. But it's one now that you look at, and if you're Jacksonville, I don't see them winning the game, man. It's a week-to-week league, but they've looked really bad. Like, they played – this year's been crazy. The Broncos, Brandon McManus found out really late, like he wasn't going to be able to pass protocol despite tests, so he wasn't there. So they signed like an XFL kicker this weekend who was missing kicks left and right against Buffalo on Saturday. Jaguars showed up to play. Their punter wasn't available, so they're throwing Hail Marys on 4th down, right? Like, we're all sitting here playing Madden. We're not going to punt. We're just going to go for it on 4th down. But that is how the Jacksonville continues to be on the road to the number 1 overall pick, because unless you just straight up start Kendall Hinton at the quarterback position, it is really hard to just outright tank in the NFL. I think that was evident from Sunday. Is because those dudes don't care about the draft pick. Like, Sam Darnold isn't going to go out there and go, you know what? I want y'all to draft Trevor Lawrence, so I don't have a job next season. And we saw that on Sunday. Like, bad teams still can have their day because it's a whole bunch of dudes playing for their paycheck and their jobs. And, that was evident. And it's one that now the fan base is frustrated. And I get asking the questions because it's something everyone else is talking about. But I liked how they handled it. Like, even Adam Gase, I'll give him credit in that moment when they asked him, well, hey, Adam, how did you respond to now the fans being upset that you guys potentially lost out on the number 1 pick? And he's just in there, we have a job to do. Mikael Becton, the left tackle out of Louisville that we touched on him, he said, well, are you really a fan if you want us to lose every game? Well, you are, because you want your team to ultimately get better. And it gets to a certain point where there's 1 or 2 wins really matter if it potentially cost you Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, that you're going to have that reaction from fans. You're going to have that reaction from people watching football. But in it, these dudes don't care if they draft Trevor Lawrence or not, because they're just wondering when their next paycheck is going to come from.
And that's the thing. The fans in the front office are looking at, 5 years from now. But everyone on the field and Sam Darnold is looking at each game, each day. And Sam Darnold went out there and was, we're not letting him get Trevor Lawrence. We're taking this game. Come on.
Well, yeah, because that means he doesn't have a job. But now I think there's belief that Sam Darnold is one of those guys that will get another opportunity, will catch on somewhere else. And it is the Adam Gase experience. You move on from Adam Gase, you look a lot better. Not just the Miami Dolphins as a whole, but Ryan Tannehill, other guys that once they've gotten away from Adam Gase, they've been playing pretty good. But every dog has its day, and that was the Jets. But the biggest winner from that, when you start looking at the entire picture, it was Sam Darnold. Because if Jaguars get that number one pick, it means Sam Darnold is the starting quarterback for the New York Jets next season with Trevor Lawrence down in Florida. 2460610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. Email the show, jj@610KNML. We come back on the other side. We'll get back into Lobo basketball. A rough night. I expected it to be rough, but did you think it'd be that difficult for this team offensively? We'll get your takeaways, your thoughts on the opener. Lobos lose 77-53 at Boise State. What's next? Where can this team get better? What will their identity be? JJ Buckmicah, got Alden Josh hold it down on ProView. Opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Call it as Javi's looking, and he's got a guy wide open, and it's Gay, and he's gonna walk into the end zone. But he did a good job with it. First and goal, it's Chavez to the middle, and Chavez stops.
And Stevens in motion. On the handoff to Mitchell. Look out! Oh, see you later. Take it to the house. Fly, Cardinals fly. To the other side, provide some protection. And off to Webskowski again. Look out. See you later. Good night. Touchdown, Webskowski. An 8. 2 receivers at the top. Harris has all day. He's going to fire to the end zone. Open man. Touchdown. Wildcats. Not a defender inside.
A little bit.
Webskowski on the sideline. Hasta mañana. He's off to the races. Touchdown, Clovis.
Albuquerque this afternoon.
34-24. Rancho late in the third. How about this run? Nice play. Dickerman. He's still on his feet. Touchdown, Wolverine.
A little paralyzed out there, a little hesitant. We were not the aggressor. We did not play with an edge that I would have liked. I think we had some flashes of it, but and we just unfortunately never got that going in the second half either. I thought Boise State played with an edge and a toughness that we just couldn't quite get, that we have had showed in our first 3 games. And I told the guys, I hope that's their inexperience, and they were just a little bit wide-eyed and kind of looking around and looking at some guys on NBA draft boards and everything else on the other side, and maybe they just got caught up in the moment. But that can't happen 48 hours from now.
Paul, we're talking post-game to Robert Portnoy and Hunter Green, the UNM Sports Radio Network. Is it just one game or cause for concern moving forward for Lobo basketball? They lose their Mountain West Conference opener 77-53 at Boise State, a team that definitely was disjointed offensively, didn't look to have a clear identity on either end of the floor. And I was willing to give them some time. This was a huge step up in competition from what they did in Houston. Houston was just a chance to practice, get some games in, but we didn't learn anything about Lobo basketball. Last night was the first time you could start taking things away about who they are, how they need to play against a good Boise State basketball team, but still I think it was rougher than a lot of people expected. So what say you? Just one game, or do you see some warts that will take a while for this team to deal with? Its opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, Micah, got Alden and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. Take your phone calls. 246-0610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. Emails jj@610canamo.com. Hit me up on the Twitter _JJ Buck. So we got a lot of reaction to, I'll read some of the tweets from post-game last night, and of course what you're sending in right now. It's a situation that you knew the step up for the Lobos was going to be real, and there were going to be some of those moments like, wow, okay, this is a lot different than playing Our Lady of the Lake and then a Division III basketball team. But I think some of my biggest questions are, where is the offense going to come from? I want to think, and I still do think, Jeremiah Francis and Saquon Singleton, given the fact, this is their first time in that situation against a good team for the Lobos, can develop into good players. And someone's going to have to take over. And Coach Malawach can't be the only guy that wants to be aggressive. And because he looks like the only one, and he really is, that's played at this level for quite some time. And you do have to factor in 12 new players to this roster this season, one of the youngest rosters in terms of continuity in the entire country. So it was going to take time. I was willing, like I said yesterday, I thought a split would be a really good outcome for the Lobos. I think it's now more challenging to get that split with the way they looked. But some of the takeaways, I think if they buy in, they can be a good defensive team, but they have to be all in on something. There was a press, but there really wasn't the trap or that extra intensity they'd see from them defensively. Like getting some turnovers, baskets, and transition would be huge for this team, whether they can finish at the rim or kick out for one of those transition 3 looks. because half-court defense is going to be challenging if you keep missing shot after shot after shot. And that's really what you saw happen in the second half. Like the first half, kind of a 10-point game for the most part. They were keeping there, getting by, creating some defensive plays. But when Boise State started to click, it was their point guard, Ray J. Dennis. He started to open the game up, hit some of those mid-range shots, was scoring at the rim. And then the pressure started to mount. The Lobos kept missing shots, kept struggling to create against Boise State, and then the game got away from them. Yesterday, I know, Mike, one of the things you were talking about was post play, and I was right there with you. I like the potential. Byron Matos is still such a young dude. He's strong. He's got the athleticism. One of my big questions is Valdir Manuel. Like, they wonder how to play him at the 5. It kind of looks like he might be a guy that has to play outside in. I know the Lobos don't really want him to sit on the perimeter and take a lot of jump shots, but when you're looking to get anything going right now, of course, Keith McGee is questionable. He sprained his ankle. He actually started the second half after going 2 of 3 from 3 in the first half. Fortunately, it's like a minute and a half in, sprained his ankle on a rebound attempt. Like, when you look at this offense, what are some of the things that you think they can do or might need to change even in that 48-hour span and try to be better on Wednesday night?
It's just finding their identity. This team is so inexperienced with how young they are, and I think you saw that last night. And that's why I think it's going to make for a difficult kind of first half of this conference play in this season, because I think it's going to take them, some time to just find that identity, find what's going to work. Can we work from inside out, or do we have to work from outside in? I think Matos has great potential. I think Brown has great potential. I just think they're young, and so I think it's going to take this team some time, and I think we're still going to see these struggles, for the first probably part of the season. I think we're still going to be talking about this, and I think that second half of the season is where they're going to find that stride a little bit to me, and I think that's what you saw in the game last night. They kept it, kind of 10-point game in that first half, and then that second half just pulled away from them, and the inexperience just really showed.
And I don't know if everyone likes to hear that, but that's a reality of the situation. The learning curve is going to be longer and more difficult for this year's Lobo basketball team. And you have to look at everything they are dealing with right now. And a road trip is one thing, but when you're on a roadie as long as they are and you don't have access to a gym, things come up, and they are questionable. They're shooting 60% from the free throw line. They were 10 of 19 last night. And a team that has to be aggressive, that has to find a way to score. One, they need to get to the foul line, and they didn't do that in the first half. And they got to hit those free throws. And it's things like that you don't think about in the moment of guys, when they get some time, able to just go to the gym and put up shots and just free throws and jumpers and three-point shots. Like, the Lobos can't do that. They don't have a gym at their hotel right now. They only have so much time they can use Boise State's court to get practice in. And you think about, too, when they were down in Houston, they didn't necessarily have a key to the gym where those guys could just go, because Rice was doing their same things at their gym, using their court and practicing. And these are, the little things you just don't think about in the big picture when this team has a lot of things they have to work on. They need practice. They're not Allen Iverson. These dudes need to be on the court, need to be putting up shots and have that live action.
Yeah, and I think the bright spot of them being away, kind of like what we saw from Lobo football, it really created a bonding experience for that team to, kind of come together. And I think hopefully, that's the bright spot of being away from home. And hopefully this team can find that bond, maybe find that identity off the court, and they can translate that, on the court, so they can maybe come closer together because of that. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and also on the flip side, Boise State, good at basketball. They got players that get buckets. And when you have a bunch of questions on the perimeter right now for the Lobos, back to Mikey, your point, I think a lot of people saw that last night, is what is your identity going to be? Okay, if you know we're going to struggle shooting, then you got to be ultra aggressive. And they weren't able to do that last night. So it goes back to believing in a style of play, being 100% in on said style of play. So I think that's something people would like to see on Wednesday night, just a clearer, all right, this is what the Lobos are trying to do mindset. And the effort, I think the first half, it was good. The second half, when the game started to get away, that's where you get the sense of Paul Ware after the game saying that Boise State played harder than the Lobos defensively. When things aren't going well on one end, it starts to bury you on the other end. Ultimately had that 25-5 run from Boise State, which blew the game wide open. So yeah, a ton of things for this team to work on. I was ready for some rough stretches. I think it was a little bit rougher than I even anticipated. But back to your point, Mike, I think it is a bit of an eye-opener for everyone that this learning curve is going to be extended when you start to take into account everything that this team is dealing with.
Mm-hmm. And I think a big part, especially from last night's game, is limiting turnovers and steals. It seemed like Boise State just kept taking the ball away from the Lobos. You look at the stat sheet. Boise State had 10 steals compared to UNM's 3. So I just think, you got to keep control of the ball, especially when you want to find your identity. You're going to have to hold the ball on offense and not get it taken away from you in order to find that identity, in order to create shots.
So things to start looking at: Jeremiah Francis, Saquon Singleton stepping up at the point guard position, being able to create, run the offense, and just getting a sense of, all right, what do they want to do? Are they going to be all in on the full court press, trying to create havoc, get those turnovers, make life rough on opposing teams? And it still is one game, 1 of 20 ahead in Mountain West play, with all the challenges that they're dealing with, because I like the pieces. Rod Brown got in some early foul trouble, and that was rough because he's one of those guys that he's just going to find a way to get to the basket, do that hard work inside. And, you weren't able to get him going consistently, because it ain't going to always be pretty with Rod Brown, but he's going to find a way. And the team kind of needs that right now, especially early on. These games, they're going to have to be scrappy. They're going to have to make it look ugly at times to keep pace while they try to find their offensive identity. 246-0610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. Rudy, you're on the opening drive. Good morning, Rudy. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, guys. Saw a really inexperienced team going up against a really, really experienced team last night. And that's what 75-plus practices do for Boise, plus the transfers. So, I'm disappointed because I thought there was a minute there when it was, I think, 46-39, I believe, at one point. And the Lobos had a shot, and then they...
You lose you, Rudy? You can give us a call back, Rudy. 246-0610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. We'll continue to take your thoughts on the Lobos opener, but what were some of your takeaways? Yes, it was game 1, but do you feel that there's more concerns, or as expected for such a young team taking a huge step up in competition? And they needed that, and they need to play a good team to see what they have. And speaking of playing basketball, questions remain for New Mexico State. So as we get your thoughts on the Lobos and their opener against Boise State, the Aggies finally were able to get back to the practice court. Chris Jans talked to the media yesterday. What do you have to say about his basketball team, and then also potentially the Lobos playing the Aggies? We'll get into that next. It is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
I'm not your grandma. I don't wear 12 layers of clothes and
Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. One man to beat. Touchdown. Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
Third and 6. Big defensive play coming up here. Little trickery to Reese. See you later. Touchdown. They went for the deep ball to Reese.
To the right, single receiver split to the left. Play fake, head up off the middle, got some room. 50, 45, 40, has one man to beat. 30, 25, 10, 5, touchdown. Touchdown, Hope.
Wow.
On a
Option again, he'll keep it. Now he'll pitch it. Comes out to the 30, 25, 20, up the sideline. Still inbounds, into the end zone. Let's see.
Touchdown.
Touchdown, Portel.
The outside of running an out route.
Davis in a play action, looking. He's going to go back to Lewis, and Lewis makes a cut, and Lewis still on his feet. Dorian Lewis is in for a touchdown. So Davison back to toss it. He's got all day. It's one miss, and he's rolling. He's got a guy. Can he get it there? Davison to Luke Weissong.
Hey, we told you he could spin that
Touchdown.
football, and that was a throw right there. I know he's got the win in his back, but
To shoot. They'll get one off, and it'll count high off the window.
Oh my gosh.
Here's a long three.
Boom.
Bang. Martinez will beat the buzzer. Got it to go.
Ford driving kick. Three's in the air. It's good.
nice pass on the nice block by Hernandez Cropper.
And Brown in the transition. But why not, Steve? Is Corbalan's going to go and he puts it away. And Corbalan wants to put it down. But here comes Screechers. Brown, you can't leave him alone. Put it down.
Gershon in transition. 3-on-2. Gershon going to go all the way. Whoa, Morgan will.
But the Lobos opened up Mountain West basketball play last night. New Mexico State finally was able to get back to the practice court after a 12-day pause due to COVID issues in their program. But for the Aggies, they don't have anything on the upcoming schedule. Their next game is January 8th when they open up WAC play. So what is next for New Mexico State? It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, Micah, Alden, and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. Of course, getting your thoughts from last night's Lobo game. Right back at it tomorrow night against Boise State. We'll continue to break that down. Just one game where larger cause for concern. But for New Mexico State, haven't been able to play basketball. Who are these guys? We really don't know as well. They're hubbed in Phoenix. We saw them be able to take the court a couple times against some NAIA teams, but then have the pause, which meant they had a game against Arizona they couldn't play. They were going to go play Santa Clara. All those games are off the schedule, and now they're sitting there with Christmas at the end of the week, a conference play starting for most of the teams around the country, trying to find someone to play. They're willing to play anyone at this point in time. So right now, there is no game outside of that conference opener for New Mexico State. Chris Jans met with the media yesterday, the Zoom press conference, and he said that he hopes to play at multiple games before they start WAC play January 8th, because they'll play their opening WAC series and then they have a bye in the WAC schedule. And much like we're talking about with the Lobos, you need the team on the practice court. You need to be playing games. Something Chris Jan said, and I thought about it a lot watching the Lobos team last night. He said you just, non-conference exposes you, and you want that as a head coach. It exposes your flaws. It lets you know, oh, we thought we could do this. We can't do that right now. Well, let's get back to work. Oh, we think we can be good in this area. Not quite. Let's not do that and go to something else. And we saw that last night for the Lobos. It was an eye-opener for the team. A lot of players going, oh, this is what we have to do. This is the level we have to play to. And Chris Jans talked about not having that. Like, you can have all these assumptions, and there's, I think this, I think that, and we all do watching sport. But until you're in it, you have no idea. And so that's been the hardest thing right now. It's not just keeping the team focused when you really have no idea what your next game is going to be, but what do you work on? You keep practicing, you keep instilling your concepts offensively and defensively, but you haven't had that chance to work them in a game situation. You haven't had that chance to see what doesn't work or what really needs to be addressed. And so New Mexico State did say, nothing official, but they hope to announce where their home games are going to be played. Of course, it's not going to be the Pan Am Center, much like right now. It's not the pit for the Lobos, so we should find that out later in the week. Now, for New Mexico State, where they're set up in Phoenix, they did build a practice court, so they have that advantage. Is in the conference ballroom where they're staying in Phoenix, got to show a basketball court, and that is a huge advantage right now. We're looking at Lobos, Aggies, and San Jose State are teams that are somewhere else and hope to have an arena, hope to have a gym. So just having a basketball court is a win. In this case, for New Mexico State, you can go shoot free throws and go make some layups. You can have practice whenever you want. You're not waiting for another team to clear the court. But got an update from Chris Jan, so they're back to the practice court after a 12-day pause to the program, and that's tough as well because it was 12 days of nothing. You know, it's players in quarantine. They had a couple of positive tests in their bubble, so you know, air quotes for the term bubble in this situation, and so you just players trying to stay in somewhat of basketball shape. I don't know how you do that when you're just like in your room and maybe you can go get some food. So it's a lot of push-ups, sit-ups, burpees, jumping jacks, up and down the hall, right? So as challenging as this year is, it's just another layer now when you're New Mexico State and you have no games on the schedule outside of that WAC opener January 8th. And Christian said, he's hitting the phones. They're ready. They're looking at other games that fall apart. Could they be a team that slides in, goes to play anyone? But he did say he's watching Breaking Bad for the second time. That it hits a bit different now that he's a New Mexican head coach at New Mexico State. Sitting there, I've had a lot of time this summer, but I haven't rewatched a series. Now, I'm a guy that I'll watch the same movie over and over and over, but I'm not necessarily a go back and rewatch a series type of guy. Like, the only one I think I might do is Sons of Anarchy. But are you a rewatch a series guy? I know Alden's got takes for days on something like this. But are you a rewatch a series guy, a movie guy? What do you do?
So if I really love a series, like I love Bob's Burgers or New Girl, those I'll rewatch at night when I'm going to sleep because I have to have something on on the TV, some noise when I go to sleep. So I'll kind of rewatch those as I go to sleep, but otherwise no. So yeah, kind of 50-50.
Yeah, I'd say same here. I don't rewatch series. just kind of redundant, but I'll watch movies. I'm with you there, JJ. I will rewatch movies all day, every day. I watch Lord of the Rings like twice a month at least. So, it's just a lot of investment time when you're gonna do a series compared to a movie, 2-3 hours, days of rewatching. But Breaking Bad's a solid one.
Yeah, I haven't watched Breaking Bad in its entirety. So I'm one of those people that I haven't invested from start to finish. Really wasn't in on it initially. Yeah, it's good. I guess I could invest some time in rewatching that. But for me, like watching a series, it's kind of living in the moment, whether it's binge watching or when it was Game of Thrones and we all had to wait to Sunday night every single week. It's kind of having that live experience. It's like when you watch a sporting event. You kind of have that initial experience and then you move on. So I like the thrill of a series, not necessarily going back and watching it in its entirety. But I'll tell you, man, I've watched like the Fast and Furious movies more than anything else in my life. It is the most underrated movie series. You can take family values out of it. It's about building friendships. It's about staying the course. I think Fast and Furious is just a great, everyone talks about It's a Wonderful Life. No, it's Fast and Furious is what you need in your life to build character and the value of friendships.
See, do you watch Tokyo Drift? What do you think about Tokyo Drift?
100%. So initially, I wasn't in on Tokyo Drift. Then I had someone explain it to me, saying, hey, you need to look at it outside of the box and some of the risk that it took and how it changed the genre, because it gave us Han. And so it inserted that storyline into it. And somehow, some way, they're able to
backtrack all the way back to it. Yeah.
Right? It was like the third in the series. But then make it kind of like after the fact as they brought Han back in. The writing is fantastic. So I'm all in on Fast and Furious. I'll watch it all day, every day. It's go on for hours and hours about that series, a movie franchise. Not really in on rewatching the series. So, but Chris Jans was watching Breaking Bad for the second time. I'm sure over the summer, a lot of series that people went back into when there's nothing going on.
Back to your Game of Thrones, like I'll watch like the Battle of Winterfell. Like I've watched that episode, just because of the ramifications of it all and just the whole war scene going on. But other than that, I'm not going to rewatch the whole thing. No way.
There's moments you can go back to.
Yeah.
Like White Walkers, Battle Winterfell. Just get to the good stuff. Once you watch the series, you know which episodes you can watch. But that's what happens when your basketball program is paused for 12 days. You got to find something to do. You can't go anywhere. You're not practicing. You're not playing games. So if you're Chris Jans, you're watching Breaking Bad for a second time because he said, you know what, it hits a little bit different now that he's a New Mexican, so he might have an idea of some of these places, even in Albuquerque, of what's going on. So that's a little bit of an update, what's going on with New Mexico State. We'll continue to take your thoughts on the Lobos. Last night, got tons of reactions still to get to from you about their performance in their opener, 77-53 Boise State beating the Lobos. They're right back at it tomorrow night. Of course, these two-game Mountain West series. We come back on the other side. 71 days ago, the Los Angeles Lakers won the NBA Finals. They're back on the court tonight. It's opening night, NBA action. So what to look for? Who are the favorites? And what does James Harden want? It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
That ball stolen. Jeremy Segura.
Over dribble, spin cycle, up and under move. What a pass. Wrap around pass.
Harris, Legate, the long bomb, 3-ball.
Oh, great steal by Quinteros, lays it up and scores.
hole, a little jump step in the... And look out, here comes Agbayosi. Crawford set. That's blocked. Lansing says, get that out of here. Sister to sister, Marianne Lansing's going to go all the way. Turnaround. Ramos, pump fake, everyone bites. Ramos hits.
Jackson loses it. Jalen Bond back. LAU. Put it down. Dunkalicious. How about it?
Lovato driving. They're going to count it. Gallegos. Ooh, a little spin and a finish. Here's Natalia Chavez. Good spin. Takes a...
Here's Ramos. Nice jump stop through the...
Played with the gambling a little bit. Oh, there's a... Hill, little step, high window, with a...
Got the second.
To the middle.
Here we go, 3.9. It's Cooper's going to run with it. Cooper's going to swing it out to Lowry. Lowry, Portillo couldn't get it off, and Clovis goes in. It's waved off. He did not get it off in time. Portillo. Reverse layup. Gallegos spins, window, finishes.
There's a run coming from...
Lazy pass. Here comes Crawford. It might be showtime. Send.
Played over to Madrid. Plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot on by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
With his first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Get that out of here, Watson says. Here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return. Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it.
They're really...
Oliveras. Wild three, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hiron. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hiron. The two-hand hammer by Hiron. I knew he was going to put that one down.
Pro View Networks tonight.
district matchup there.
Davidson took it away in transition. Might be time for a jam. Yes.
Oh! Big Barton, watch him, coach. Watch the inbounder.
Duma Sanchez in the corner.
Back to Barton with 2.4 seconds left. Fires for the win.
Hey, he got it!
He scored!
Oh my God!
On the last second shot.
He did!
Oh my God! Banks it in from 25 feet and watch the celebration right in front of us. What a shot by Barton. He was double teamed and somehow found a way to get it in.
It's no more of importance because I'm playing against my old teammates, and I just feel like the game of basketball is going to have me on that level anyway.
Kevin Durant talking about playing Golden State Warriors. It is opening night in the NBA. Golden State at Brooklyn, Clippers at the Lakers. Just 71 days ago, Los Angeles Lakers raised that NBA Finals trophy. And now they're back on the court after the 4 months off into the bubble, just 71 days off back into the regular season for the NBA. The expectations are sky high. The superstars are ready to go. One of them is not sure where he wants to go or what his future holds, but we will see ballers on the court tonight. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant returning from the Achilles injury he had back in the 2019 NBA Finals, and just how good are the Brooklyn Nets going to be? It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the sports animal. JJ Buckmicah, Alden and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. So Klay Thompson, he's out. Tore his knee up. That's unfortunate. But do see Steph Curry versus Kevin Durant, which I think is going to be really exciting tonight. Kevin Durant's superhuman. So he is a guy that I'm still expecting elite level of play from, even coming off an Achilles injury. I mean, we know how difficult those can be. But there's
Edward on the line.
There's a few guys. It's LeBron James. I'm going to put Kevin Durant in that category where they can overcome absolutely anything, even of this magnitude. And the thing with the Brooklyn Nets is talent-wise, top two, they should be right there with Milwaukee, even in year one, kind of like Eastern Conference Finals, like a step away from the NBA Finals. Because the key to it is Kyrie Irving has to be number two. Like, Kyrie Irving worked in Cleveland because LeBron James is doing everything. And Kyrie can spout off and say he didn't like this or that about his role or LeBron James, but Kyrie plays best as a complementary player. And that's the thing. Kyrie, he's out of the box. Says some crazy things. He does some crazy stuff. But the presence of Kevin Durant is what is going to make that team really good, because he's going to keep Kyrie in check. He's going to be like, oh, that's cool, Kyrie. Yeah, do your thing. He's going to take some pressure off him on and off the court. And that is why I am sold. You know, Kyrie by himself, Kyrie in Boston, wasn't great. But Kyrie with Kevin Durant can absolutely be great because of the level that KD plays at. And so you're looking at the top of the Eastern Conference. Giannis now wearing that Supermax all in. Complementary players are good enough in Milwaukee for them to take that step. Very disappointing how they lost to Miami, but a Heat team that put it all together in the bubble went to the NBA Finals. You have Doc Rivers year one in Philadelphia, another team with a ton of potential. That, you know, what is their legitimate ceiling? Is that an NBA Finals team? Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, that's the feeling. But how do they stack up against Milwaukee and Brooklyn? And then down the list, you know, Miami is going to be good. I'm not expecting NBA Finals good from them this season, but that's a challenge. Toronto will be solid. You know, how does Pascal Siakam respond? You know, Siakam, Van Fleet, Kyle Lowry. They have a big hole in the front court. Serge Ibaka is now playing with the Clippers. And it seems like the Pacers that are solid and going to win some games. Look at some of the rookies. LaMelo Ball has been lighting it up in the preseason. He looks like he could actually live up to the hype with the way that he plays. And then go to the Western Conference. And the team to beat is still the Los Angeles Lakers, because even a 36-year-old LeBron James still expect him to do ridiculously good things on the basketball court. Now, how they managed the first couple weeks of the season, getting in shape. I think you're going to see a lot more load management this year with LeBron, all eyes on the postseason. And I think they had a really good offseason. Dennis Schroeder immediately became the best guard on their roster when they made that trade, Oklahoma City. You bring in Montrezl Harrell, who is perfect in that role opposite Anthony Davis, because Harrell is a dude that can score inside, get your rebounds, attack the offensive glass. Then some of that pressure on the defensive end, if he's playing alongside Anthony Davis, is taken off him. So they did a really good job in an uncertain offseason with the money available to solidify themselves even better in some of those rotation spots. And the team they're playing tonight, the Clippers. So Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, were terrible in that Game 7 against the Denver Nuggets. And it's all on them. When we think, right, Kawhi Leonard at times, we've put him in that conversation of being a top 3 player in the NBA. He did not finish that year like that at all. And now Kawhi Leonard, Paul George going into year 2, how is their relationship? Ty Lue slides over from assistant coach to head coach. And I will agree with Doc Rivers. When Paul George was spouting off a couple weeks ago about his role, the team that making the adjustments, and Doc Rivers was asked about that, and he's like, Ty Lue sat right beside me. So if those guys think that we didn't make any adjustments, their head coach was an assistant coach with that team last year. And a team that I am eyeing in the West is Portland. You know what you're getting at Dame Lillard, CJ McCollum. Nurkic is healthy, came back, was a monster in the bubble. They were a team that benefited from having 4 unexpected months off before resuming the season. The addition of Robert Covington, that's a name that might not pop up to a lot of people, but he is a perfect fit in any NBA team. 3-and-D guy that can be a small ball 5, a stretch 4. Portland is the team to watch out for. Yeah, we know about Utah, we know about Denver, but I think there is a case to be made. The second best team in the Western Conference right now is the Portland Trailblazers. So the NBA tips off tonight. We got 2 games. We got Steph Curry, KD, the Battle of LA. 2460610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. Edward, you're on the opening drive. What's up, Edward? How you doing?
In the overall NBA. I, for one, am excited about the start of the season. I'll say this, JJ and Micah. The Lakers improved at almost every position, quite honestly. With bringing in Montrezl Harrell to play defense and grab rebounds, to bring in Gasol, who is a former Defensive Player of the Year, rebounds well, can hit elbow jumpers and post up. They brought in Schroeder, who's a dynamic point guard, and is essentially Rondo 2.0 in some with a better jump shot, quite honestly. And I think AD is going to come into his prime. I think he's 25, 26 years old. He's going to improve. LeBron's becoming more efficient. And I know other teams have made changes and picked up free agents. I don't give any of those teams a chance to win 4 out of 7 games against the Lakers, at least at this point. Now, a lot could happen. Injuries, team chemistry, whatever, right? But for the Lakers, they essentially improved at every position and on the bench. Kuzma, who I'm not a big fan of, he's goofy. He wears capri pants and goofy haircuts and bad shirts. But he's got at some point be able to hit wide open jumpers. And at 6'9", he's a dynamic talent. So if he gets better, and of course their best player, Caruso, he's only going to get better. So tongue in cheek. But Kyrie Irving, I love what Charles Barkley said about him last week. Kyrie he's kind of a head case. He's got a little bit of Kanye West in him where he thinks he's a genius. And Barkley came out and said, look, man, there's a lot of smart people out there. You went to college for 6 months. Not that college is the end-all, be-all. You went to college for 6 months, and it was probably a truncated 3 months based on the basketball season. There's a lot of smarter people than you out there. Just do basketball and answer basketball questions. There's the mic drop. Kyrie, fall into alignment. You can be you. We don't want your theory on if the world's flat and all these other issues in the world. Just dribble, get to the basket, be dynamic, and we'll celebrate your talent. I called and I talked about the NFL, and I said that it's going to flip upside down, which it has. I think the Steelers are not only probably the worst of the 7 teams that are going to make the AFC playoffs. They may be the worst of all 14 teams that are going to make the playoffs. I wouldn't count them out, but I thought they were fool's gold all year based on who they were playing, and they couldn't run the ball. We all talked about it. But I think that's going to be a very interesting AFC playoff tilt, and I think all the games are going to be close. Finally, Lancer, the dancer, he wanted me to share this with you. He had a little bit of a fall at his house, and he's in the hospital. He's fine. He reached out to me, and I said, is it okay if I share with the sports animal family that you are okay? And he said yes. So I just wanted to share that. So if anybody feels compelled to pray or give well wishes to our friend Lance, he can't call right behind me and blast me today, but that's okay. I reached out to him, took a few things to the hospital for him, and of course they didn't let me see him given the COVID restrictions, but well wishes to Lancer is the answer. Gentlemen, have a delightful day.
I appreciate the call, Edward, and yes, best wishes to Lance. Big on you, man. Thanks for helping a brother out in that situation. And we know it's our crazy Uncle Lance, who is a part of our sports animal family. So get well soon. And I know people be excited to hear you call next time. Zoom. A little Lance taking us to break. We come back on the other side. Still tons to get to. Basketball is life right now. Reaction to the Lobos' loss at Boise State. They're back at it tomorrow night, game 2 of their opening Mountain West Conference Series. NBA tips off tonight. We got that update from Chris Jans yesterday. Hear from you, 246-0610 is Equan's Auto Care Hotline. Email the show, jj@610canamel.com. Of course, ProView. Watch us, stream us there, Comcast Channel 26. Also, Facebook, search bar, just hit ProView or the opening drive. You can find the stream and interact throughout the show. And Twitter, _JJ_Buck. So lots of options for you to get your opinion in this morning. We come back on the other side. So what does that dude in Houston want to do? It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Played over to Madrid. Plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot up by Garcia. Trickles in, goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
With his first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Get that out of here, Watson says. Here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return. Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it. They're really... Oliveras. Wild 3, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hiron. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hiron. The two-hand hammer by Hiron. I knew he was going to put that one down.
ProView Networks tonight.
District matchup there.
Davidson took it away in transition. Might be time for a jam. Yes.
Oh! Nick Barton, watch him, coach. Watch the inbounder.
Duma Sanchez in the corner.
Back to Barton with 2.4 seconds left. Fires for the win.
And he got it!
It's good.
Oh my God!
On the last second shot.
He did. Oh my God!
Banks it in from 25 feet and watch the celebration right in front of us. What a shot by Barton. He was double teamed and somehow found a way to get it in. Ramos to Gaxiola. High window for the win. It's good. It counts. Gaxiola with the game winner for a Driscoll Heritage.
Melfi can cash it in. He's got some protection. Deep ball. Erickson's open. Touchdown, Monarchs.
Second and 10. Smith looking, and he's going to fire over the middle, and he's got his guy. And it's another big play. Walking away for a touchdown, Tristan Altier.
Hand it off to Chavez. Chavez breaking tackles. Look out. Chavez up the sideline. Stays in bounds. Touchdown. Volcanovic.
That replay,
I
just
got
get
you.
the measurement. I mean,
Smith's going to fire on first down, and he's on the outside. There's a lot of room for Brad Thomas. A move, and he's set free. Dance into the end zone. Touchdown. So it goes.
He'll run with it. Stumbling. Gets down into the end zone. And looking to throw it. And he throws it in the end zone. Caught!
First and 10 from the 11. And spin move for Smith. Push the B button. Dance into the end zone.
He'll throw it. Looking. Here comes the rush. Stepping up. Pavia now running around. Being chased. Looks across. Throws it up and wide open. Ball is caught. Touchdown. Jimmy Gaye. Dropping, looking, stepping up. He's going to run. He's got a lot of green in front of him. To the end zone. Touchdown. Rio Rancho, Isaiah Chavez. Chavez set. He's going to run with it again and dives and...
Now, there's some teams in the NBA, if this was 7 years ago, you're like, wow, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins in Houston, Marc Gasol with the Lakers, what an addition. Maybe not so much right now. Marc Gasol is the Ben Roethlisberger of the NBA. I think the Lakers owed Pau Gasol a favor, so they signed Marc to bring him in. I don't think he's going to have that big a difference on the Lakers team, but we shall see. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the sports animal. JJ Buckmicah, they're all in, and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. So, of course, the big story of the last couple of weeks has been James Harden. Where is he? Is he showing up? Of course, Houston Rockets. New head coach Mike D'Antoni era is over. Daryl Morey stepped down. He's now in Philadelphia. So it's a new era, but with James Harden still at the helm. And he is one frustrated dude, as evident by this question yesterday.
James, now that you've been in camp for about a week, do you feel any better about this situation now than you did before you arrived?
Next question.
No. That is the answer to that question. He does not. But have you all seen the meme? It's from The Notebook. Ryan Gosling, that scene, is like standing in the rain, and he's like, "What do you want?" That's the way I feel about James Harden. What do you want? You're not getting traded to the Brooklyn Nets right now. Of course, you want to go to a contender. Do you want to play basketball? Are you good going anywhere else? Like, this team was geared towards you. They built it around you. They let you do whatever you wanted on the basketball court because that's the player that got to an MVP level. And they came close, but yet so far. You go back to that series, they had a lead in the Western Conference Finals over the Warriors. Chris Paul pops his hamstring. Good night now. That was the closest they got. So I don't think the Houston Rockets with James Harden has been a total failure. It goes back to the over-analyzation of championships. yes, championships matter. You play to win the game. That's what these guys are doing. But I don't think it was an absolute failure in Houston because of the way he plays. They geared that team towards him. They asked him to play that way. So you can't then all of a sudden go after the fact go, oh, he's a ball hog and too much iso ball. That's what they thought they needed to do to win. And it got him to a certain point, and now they blew it all up. Russ is gone. John Wall's in. James Harden is done. But I don't know the destination for James Harden. I don't know what he wants. It's not going to be the Brooklyn Nets right now. If I'm the Nets, I'm feeling pretty good about this core when you have Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie to play alongside Kyrie and KD. And by the way, Kyrie can be his crazy self, going back to Edwards' call, because Kevin Durant is there, as I explained. Kevin Durant takes the pressure on and off the court off Kyrie. He can do his crazy stuff. That's why it worked in Cleveland. You had the superstar in LeBron James, and then Kyrie was kind of doing his thing, and they were able to win basketball games. Same thing is going to happen in Brooklyn. But for James Harden, what is the destination? You know, what is it? Is the team going to blow it all up for him? You know, I think James Harden, Jimmy Butler is a fantastic one too, because Butler's not necessarily a ball dominant guy. He's kind of got that whatever attitude, just grind it, which would be really fascinating to see how that plays off of James Harden. But are you giving up Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero for James Harden? Like, yeah, you're getting the better player at this moment, but do you think you can win the Eastern Conference next year? Pat Riley makes that move then. There's been some noise around the Denver Nuggets. I don't like any of the packages that Denver would have to send. I think Jamal Murray showed last year he can be a guy that can step up and hit shots in big-time games. When they came back in that Jazz series, when they came back from down 3-1 as well against the Clippers, Murray, Jokic, it works. And then they have a ton of role players. So that's the thing. You know, is Michael Porter Jr. a dude that clicks on both ends of the basketball floor? Does he become a legit number 3? Because then that starts to elevate the Nuggets to a next level. But I don't think Murray for Harden makes sense. Murray and Jokic, yeah, that'd be fun on the basketball court, but I don't think as a franchise that's a good move. And so we're talking about a player that still has a ton of talent. He can get buckets. He can be effective in the NBA, but it doesn't look like there's a home for him right now because of what you have to give up. You never get true value in a trade for a superstar, but you want like multiple assets. And you want multiple first-round picks, a couple young players, because when you trade a player like James Harden, you're acknowledging, yeah, we're probably starting over. And I don't see that package out there right now for a team that wants to then make Harden the number 1 player. So it's Ryan Gosling in the rain asking, what do you want, James? What do you want? Let us know, because it's not in Houston. I don't know where it's going to be at this point in time. But the NBA season tips off tonight. Got tons of hoop thoughts. Still a lot of reaction. We'll get into it next. Lobos, Boise State, the conference opener last night. Your impressions, was it just one game or cause for larger concern with this Lobo basketball team? JJ Buck, Micah, Alden, Josh, on the down on the Pro V side. Opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Brett Lewis with NFL Network now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Call it as Javi's looking, and he's got a guy wide open, and it's Gay, and he's gonna walk into the end zone. But he did a good job with it. First and goal, it's Chavez to the middle, and Chavez stops.
And Stevens in motion. On the handoff to Mitchell. Look out! Oh, see you later. Take it to the house. Fly, Cardinals fly. To the other side, provide some protection. And off to Webskowski again. Look out! See you later. Good night. Touchdown, Webskowski. An 8. 2 receivers at the top. Harris has all day. He's going to fire to the end zone. Open man. Touchdown. Wild catch. Not a defender inside. A little bit. Webskowski on the sideline. Asta Manana. He's off to the races. Touchdown, Clovis.
Albuquerque this afternoon.
34-24. Rancho late to third. How about this run? Nice play. Deckerman. He's still on his feet. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Exactly what they want to get yards.
He's going to go for it. He's got a guy towards the end zone. It's Krebs. Touchdown. What a play.
Boise State 77. New Mexico 53 is your final in Boise.
A rough one for the Lobos in their conference opener last night. Though cause for further concern in one game. And think that people realize 12 new players on this Lobo roster. They haven't had an opponent like that to this point in the season. The challenges they've had just in practicing, getting shots up in your free time. I mean, you have to walk to a park. Is there a park around a hotel you can use to get some free throws up? This team has issues offensively. But can they overcome them? Do you believe that they'll buy into what Paul Weir is selling? Because they didn't look like they had much of an identity last night. Paul Weir said it was a slice of humble pie for some players, an eye-opening experience. Hey, you're stepping up. This looked like a team that was picked 7th in the Mountain West. But I do believe there's potential in certain aspects of this roster. What say you? It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal. JJ Buck, Micah, Alden, and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. Of course, Bowl week. New Mexico Bowl is Christmas Eve in Frisco, Kirky. So Jeff Siembieda, a very busy man, and just trying to put this together to get to this point and then have a game and a year of such uncertainty overall. And then bowl season, and we've seen so many bowls canceled, teams just opting out. But you got Hawaii, you got Houston good to go playing the New Mexico Bowl on Christmas Eve. But some of your reaction to what happened last night. DJ is in on Lobo Basketball saying, have some pieces, but having issues with chemistry, getting quality shots in the half court, not much of a perimeter game, poor entry passes to the bigs. Some of this can be fixed with practices. Definitely think that was fair. And this one is from Max says, Ware has zero identity, full court up tempo, but yet he recruits a bunch of post players and zero shooters. Watching Boise State run their offense, I was jealous because they ran an offense. Can you imagine Javante on Boise? He'd get 4 or 5 open threes a game. And yeah, you did get some of that last night. Just the Lobos kind of unsure of what they wanted to do. Boise State definitely took them out of things. It was size, it was the athleticism. Things that you think the Lobos should excel at. Well, this is the first time they're playing someone that matched them in those areas. And I definitely wanted to hold off going overboard. It was their first game against a legitimate opponent with all those things in there. But I think the lack of perimeter playmakers will hurt this basketball team if they don't buy into something. I know, Micah, that was one of the first things you said. You just didn't feel like they had an identity yet. I think we thought it was going to be pressure playing inside and out, which I still think it can be, because when you don't have a lot of shooters right now, you don't have the perimeter playmakers stepping up, you have to excel in those other areas.
Yeah, and to a point made earlier, that's exactly what your non-conference schedule is used for. You use those games so you can really learn about your team. You can, learn what works for this team and what doesn't. And you couldn't really see that in 3 games. So I think now we're just starting to experience and trying to go through what works and what doesn't, and it's going to be a little bit of a delay in that.
And McQuarrie Malawach said after the game that he hopes it was just a one-night thing, an eye-opening experience for some of the new players. And yeah, you need that. No one likes it. As a fan, you're not going to enjoy watching it, but the Lobos needed this experience. They needed to play a good basketball team to see where they are at and what it's going to take them moving forward. Saquon Singleton and Jeremiah Francis are 2 guys that my attention will be on Wednesday night. Singleton had moments where attacking the basket, getting inside, he scored at the rim a couple times. One of those guys has to take over. I think Francis has been solid, but we haven't seen him shoot well to this point in time, and you haven't seen him create. And that was the difference for Boise State. Their point guard, Ray J. Dennis, started to take over this game, and that's really when they ran away from it. He was hitting some mid-range jumpers. He was scoring at the rim, thus kind of sucked in the defense. They kicked to the outside, and they have playmakers, man. Akat, Kajib were really good. And to go along, of course, Derek Alston, which you're going to hear about him all year long, given the fact he was the preseason Mountain West player of the year. But so of all the areas, I'm looking there. Singleton, Francis is their first big game as point guards for the Lobos. They both struggled. Now that's an area they can take a step forward in.
And we talked yesterday, and we were wondering, is this team going to have to find, their second guy, that other go-to guy besides Malawach? And we kind of wondered, will they have to find that, or will there be enough, depth to kind of carry them through? And I think that's what we saw last night, is there's really going to have to be another guy behind Malawach to step up, whether that comes from, in the post with Matos or Brown, or on the perimeter with Francis and Singleton.
Yeah, and it's one where you're going to have that if you're not all in on doing something. Like if creating havoc with the full court press, just really speeding it up, is because once you started missing a lot of shots or that pressure mounted defensively, the Lobos tried to slow it down. And then they were trying to play slower basketball with a half-court offense that wasn't effective, and thus you saw Boise State run away from them in the second half. But where I'm at right now, it's one game. And I do think that there's talented players on this roster. It's going to be more of a challenge, you're piecing it together when you don't have, as of right now, playmakers or shot creators. So execution, the guys have to work every single possession. The ball's got to be moving quicker. It's got to be better entry passes. It can't be lazy passes. It's got to be quick ball movement. Get that post touch, work off that. And these are all things you learn from a game like this, because they just didn't learn anything about themselves in Houston. It was an opportunity to play and practice some. But that is why yesterday I was prepared to watch this Lobo basketball team struggle. I think it looked a little rougher than I even anticipated at times. But this learning curve is going to be longer. Fans don't like to hear that. You understand it. I get it from that standpoint, but still, there's so many new players that they haven't been in games like this, and it's tested unlike before because it's boom boom. Like you don't have time. All right, play this game. Coaches take a step back, start working on things. Let's practice, see what it's like. Now, you got to run it right back on Wednesday night. And I think it's a good and bad. As a player, I think you're excited to get right back on the court. You want to show, all right, what happened Monday night in Boise is not who we are. Let's go out there and perform. From a coach's standpoint, you're like, uh-oh, we don't have time to work on these things. We don't have time to tweak things within the game plan. And that was something I asked Paul Weir about last night, like kind of the give and take of a schedule like this, playing 2 games in 3 days constantly in this series. And he said that just the biggest thing for the Lobos is just straight up practice time. It's something you don't think about because it's a given. Like, these guys are going to practice. But in such a weird year for the Lobos, when they spent so much time on the road, when they're having to use other people's gym, you don't get the same type of work in. And it's things that you definitely take for granted because you don't talk about. It's dudes showing up, shooting 500 free throws, taking 1,000 jump shots in a gym and then going home. And things like the Lobos can't do right now because they don't have a court to go do that at. Like, really, it is, hey, is there a park around here we can walk to and put up some shots after we eat lunch?
There has to be like a local sports store that can sponsor the team and get them some hoops out there or something.
I just travel with hoops to put in the parking lot, but that's really where the Lobos are at now, just working on things like free throws and getting jump shots off, because last night it didn't look like they had perimeter playmakers, and that's going to be a problem because then you have to be that much more locked in to your style of grind and aggressive on both ends of the floor. And that can be challenging because this basketball, as we all know, we've seen it. You got to make tough shots. Sometimes you got to create something out of nothing. Just go down, fire up a 3, have a guy hit a step back. So who's going to emerge? If they don't quite get that identity, they're going to have someone other than just McClatch Malawatch be willing to be aggressive. Now, Malawatch, 5 of 12 from the field last night, was the only player in double figures. So you're just starting who's it going to be. Going into tomorrow night's game, I think we're really looking at the point guard position, creating, but then also just buying into what they want to do. It was a rough opener, but just one game. How do you feel about that? We'll take your calls, 246-0610. Zaquan's Auto Care Hotline. Emails, jj@610knml.com. Of course, hit me up on Twitter _JJBuck. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Touchdown! The Duke City's home for the... Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Moreno extra pass, and Watson. Out with it, Gallegos, and he's gonna run all the way. Window, yes! Able to get out of it. How did he find Battle? It's to Cunningham, and it...
I mean, Ramos' hand. And
Ramos puts it up, beats the buzzer!
Boy, Jefferson wide open.
Jefferson to Daraji! Into Watson with the jam!
Another steal by Domino Lovato, and here comes Agbaiosi. Lob, two-hand hammer. You knew that was coming. Devils is all over The lob, tagged by Osi, the one-hand hammer.
Put up. And a drive from Parham.
To create space, he gives it off to Rivas for the three, and he buries it.
Gonna be coming in soon. Double pick set for Avalos. Goes to the right. Avalos puts it up high. Window. Scores it as foul.
Right here by Lewis all the way, coast to coast, and finish.
What a...
Around the screen, against White, step back, it's blocked! JB with the block!
In transition, ahead to hit on for the two-hand hammer.
Minutes to go, they've got a shot, they have a chance, and it's put up, and it's good! What a three that is by Jalen.
Hidon puts it up.
Rebound Cowboys. Right side David Hall. Thank you very much. Here come the Cowboys. Domino Lovato lays it up. Missed it. Hey, how about it? Thank you, Lusses. Thank you very much, Raquan Mitchell. Clock at 6. They get it. Barnes Tompkins fires. Yes! Pass up court. This for the win. Blocked by DJ Bustos. Cowboys win. Cowboys win.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
It's his second field goal. He's got 4 points. Watson, though, goes all the way.
So we might have some issues with a quarterback, the Washington football team. What did Dwayne Haskins do? Got to start against Seattle and played pretty well. They asked him to throw the football 55 times. Yeah, had 2 interceptions in that contest, but it was a 2015 game. Seattle victorious on Sunday. Washington football team still atop the NFC East, but who will their quarterback be? It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal. JJ Buck, Micah, Alden, and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. Quan's Auto Care hotline is 246-0610. Of course, reaction to Lobos losing at Boise State last night. This is a conference opener. A lot of basketball left to be played. Go to the phones. Ray, you're on the opening drive. What's up, Ray?
How's it going, man?
It's going good, man.
Yeah, I think Lobos, they haven't seen any length like the Boise State players have. Big boys, long arms. A lot of those passes they threw, they were forced turnovers. And hopefully that could be corrected, you know what I mean, with a little bit of more practice now they saw the length. And then in the beginning of the second half, the Lobos made a little run and cut it down to 8 points. And then they went to the free throw line 3 times in a row and missed front ends of all 3 1-and-1s. That's 6 possible points right there, and Boise State didn't even score. They could have cut that lead down to 2, and I think that was the turning point of the game right there. But the front ends of the 1-and-1s, and they missed in a row. The announcer said it too, that the Lobos are going to have to make free throws if they want to be in the game also, because that could have changed the whole game and cut it to 2 points, but they missed them. Let's see what you guys say.
I really appreciate the phone call, and you're right on with what happened in the second half. It got, just ahead of the 14-minute mark. It's about 15 minutes left. It was a 40-34 game. So Boise State had a 6-point lead. Kurt Wegschneider, by the way, came in and I thought played hard, gave him some good minutes in the second half. So it was 40-34. And then you get in the situation just 2 possessions later, 13:53 mark of the second half. The Lobos get into the bonus, to Ray's point. It was Saquon Singletary, because we missed the front end of that one. And then they go on and miss their next 3. And then that is when Boise State started to pull away from a 6-point game to a 13-point game. And then ultimately you go down to the under 8 timeout. It was a 23-point game. It was 62-39 in favor of Boise State. So it's the little things in a 3-possession game, trying to hit free throws, give you life. You miss those. You've been struggling offensively all night long. Boise State is clicking on both ends of the floor. They ran away with it. And so ultimately over that stretch, it was a 25-5 run for the Broncos.
Yeah, and to Ray's point about length, that's what I talked about yesterday. Just kind of seeing how Brown and Matos would be in the paint with guys, that are actually their size and are going to have length. And it's easy, those first 3 non-conference games when you're bigger than everyone, you can dump a pass out from the post, cross court to the 3-point line for, maybe an easy 3, but with some length, that's what I was talking about, how it was going to be, not making those mistakes in those passes and being smart and playing big.
The Lobos, they needed this. They needed to play a good basketball team. They needed to figure out, this is what we're going to have to do to take that step forward. And it's a learning process, and that learning curve might be longer than a lot of Lobo fans have hoped. But there's the reason. Boise State was picked second. And I'm one that I think we can be held hostage by preseason polls too many times. We don't let our eyes tell the story, but we haven't had a lot of chances to get that. So last night did look like a 2-7 team in Mountain West play, but now we'll see how the Lobos respond moving forward. Because Boise State, to the point, they're practicing, they have a home court, they played at Houston Open this season, they beat BYU this year, so they've played better competition. They've competed in those games. They've won one of those games, the BYU team that beat San Diego State over the weekend in San Diego. So they look like a team that had gone through those moments, that had been practicing constantly. And the Lobos look like how you'd expect them coming from Houston, where you're playing NAIA schools, a Division III school. Yeah, you get a game, you get a run, but you don't learn anything about yourself. You learned something about yourself last night in that game at Boise. So, quarterbacks, Dwayne Haskins. Tom Pellisario tweeted out this morning, he's, of course, NFL Network reporter, that the Washington football team is aware of social media posts which showed quarterback Dwayne Haskins partying maskless in a strip club, was in contact with the NFL yesterday about the matter, and they are handling it internally. So Dwayne Haskins gets a start, parties it up, living life. The strip club's open, which that's, how about that anyway? But he's, whether he had a mask on or not, you're in a strip club. There's a lot of things that aren't covered up at that point in time. And now he probably wasn't going to play anyway if Alex Smith comes back. But it's a guy that we don't know what the future holds. Like, he wasn't benched for Alex Smith, which would make sense. It was benched for Kyle Allen. And then Kyle Allen gets hurt, and that's when Alex Smith comes in. And you're like, oh, maybe there's something here. This guy's got a little bit left in the tank. Washington football team competing. But Dwayne Haskins, maskless in the strip club.
Back on the bench.
Back on the bench. And making it easy now, right? It's, all right, Dwayne, we're going to put you in the protocol. You're going to go on the COVID reserve list because we don't know what things you have now anyway outside of COVID, being at the strip club. So you knew Alex Smith was going to come back anyway, but it felt like Dwayne Haskins, I like how he showed up. It wasn't the greatest performance, but he made some throws downfield. And is this the dude that was going to be a starting quarterback anywhere next year? No, but he's still a first-round pick. I feel there's some talent there. But could he develop into a solid starter somewhere else? So kind of get that bench career going.
Art on the line.
And then he comes in and has this situation. Just has to throw all that goodwill out the window like this. Just unfortunate for Dwayne Haskins.
And I'm just looking at the pictures right now. I found the pictures that surfaced.
What are the timestamps? Obviously, from what after? Was it Sunday night? Was it yesterday? Like, is this prior to Sunday's game? When did this happen?
Well, I don't know because all the news is dropping this morning, so all the pictures. But it looks like they're from Instagram. From kind of Instagram stories, but it just says 12 hours. So who knows when the screenshot was taken?
Social media is always going to get you in trouble. If you're gonna go out with your dudes, if you're gonna do your thing, especially in a global pandemic, when we know the rules that the NFL has for players, rosters, contacts, etc., you need to walk into that club and be like, "Hey, y'all, cell phones here."
Right?
Where's the bouncer in that situation? You're always going to get ratted out on social media. You're not supposed to be doing things like this right now. We all see it on social media.
It's like if I was famous, and I'm not saying I would do it, but if I was famous and I went to, something like that, like, all right, everyone, I'll give you $100, put your phone in the basket, put it away, something, but like, come on.
It's always going to come out. You cannot hide in this day and age. And Dwayne Haskins, maskless at the strip club. He had his moment in time starting against Seattle, and it is the Alex Smith show moving forward for the Washington football team, still leading the NFC East. We'll continue to take your thoughts. 246-0610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. Lobos opener last night against Boise State. How do they respond? What do you see from this team moving forward? It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Second field goal, he's got 4 points. Watson, though, goes all the way.
Hit the deck, I should say. Cordova tried to throw it off Romero. A 3 for...
Set out to Jutapia. Nice move behind his back. It's a good... Here's Ramos, step back, high arcing,
But he needed to get his legs back under him.
Ooh, a little kick.
They leave it one more time to Hammer.
Look at this, they're going to score again. Look at this.
Up top! Yes, and the finish for Akbayosi. Saved into the hands of Riak, ahead of the pack to Davina Lovato. Up high, down hard for Akbayosi. Out of the corner, Casals, the 3-0, Katenge! Let me clean up the mess! He dropped out of the rafters for that one, Steve.
Dorian over. Did he get
Yeah,
in?
they got in. He got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides looking, still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake, double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. One man to beat. Touchdown. Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
Third and 6. Big defensive play coming up here. Little trickery to Reese. See you later. Touchdown. They went for the deep ball to Reese.
To the right, single receiver split to the left. Play fake, head up the middle, got some room. 50, 45, 40, has one man to beat. 30, 25, 10, 5, touchdown. Touchdown, Hope.
Wow.
On a
Option again. He'll keep it. Now he'll pitch it. Comes out to the 30, 25, 20, up the sideline. Still inbounds into the end zone. Let's see.
Touchdown.
Touchdown. Portel.
The outside of running an out route.
Davis in a play action, looking. He's going to go back to Lewis, and Lewis makes a cut, and Lewis still on his feet. Dorian Lewis is in for a touchdown.
So Davison back to toss it. He's got all day. It's one miss, and he's rolling.
He's got a guy. Can he get it there? Davison to Luke Weissong.
Hey, we told you he
touchdown.
It was a rough night for Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lobos, an eye-opening experience opening up Mountain West play at Boise State, a 77-53 loss. But they're right back at it tomorrow night in these two-game conference series. Now, Lobos did announce they will play their home series at Lubbock Christian University, so that will be their home away from home for their next two series after this. But you get a sense of what they need to work on, and it's a lot. And it's not it wasn't unexpected. Like I was prepared for the Lobos struggles last night. I think it was a little rougher offensively than I even anticipated, but it was a big step up in their first true test on the basketball court. Opening drive, JJ Buck, Micah, Alden, and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. Of course, Quan's Auto Care hotline is 246-0610. You can email the show, jj@610knml.com. You can find me on the Twitter, it's _JJ Buck. Share your thoughts with anything that is going on and get to the phones. Art, you're on the opening drive. Good morning, Art. What's going on?
Good morning, JJ. Yeah, I just have a couple of questions. So when we want to go recruit, say, the kid out of North Carolina, this guy can't shoot a three-pointer to save his life. And I wonder why he's letting him throwing it up without, because he hasn't proven that he can shoot. If the reason why he tried for North Carolina, because he just couldn't shoot, and they just said there's no room for you here. And that's just a dead space, so to speak. And another thing is, I would like to see the kid from the Colorado, the freshman. I think he needs a little bit more playing time. It seems like he has a better touch on the outside than these other shooting guards that are on the team. And I'll listen up. Thank you, JJ.
We'll start with Jeremiah Francis, and he dealt with injuries, which derailed him late in his high school career, then to start at North Carolina. And then if you're on a roster like that, you're going to quickly fall behind when you're bringing in one-and-done players. What was Cole Anthony last year? It's Caleb Love this season, at the point guard position. So, so Francis transferred looking for a fresh start. So he's been the injuries have slowed him down. So this is really his first time in his collegiate career where he's been able to be on the court for a consistent amount of time. I think he can be a stable point guard. I agree. He has struggled to shoot the basketball. It was something that felt he was getting better at leading up to this season. He showed flashes in practice, but unfortunately has yet to translate to the court. But it's still so early in such a young season for this basketball team. So I'm not out on Francis. I think, for him, though, it needs to be about creation and getting it done in that regard. So for Jeremiah Francis, not out. Still think it's a situation in which you can get the job done and go from there. When it comes to Javonte Johnson, Johnson is a player that you saw get more minutes after Keith McGee went down. The freshman guard from Colorado Springs. Definitely, where in that second half was looking for a spark from the perimeter. Javonte Johnson probably is going to get even more run moving forward with Keith McGee spraining his ankle. But yeah, you just need to start, finding a guy that can pick it up from the outside, and a team that struggles to shoot the basketball. There's going to be more opportunity for maybe some unexpected players. In this case, it's Javonte Johnson who's going to get a chance, but also, it comes back to your identity and what you do constantly, and what are you going to buy into. This team has to be aggressive on both ends of the floor, and there's a lot in it too. You're just seeing length, seeing athleticism for the first time, and then having your flaws exposed. That's what you have to go through, and it was an eye-opening experience for a lot of those Lobo basketball players last night. But quick turnaround on the court tomorrow. 2460610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. Sean, you're on the opening drive. What's up, Sean?
Hey, it's going good, sir. Still enjoying Sunday's win over the Rams.
Absolutely.
So just a couple things. You guys were keen to let Edward run for as long as you did. That was nice of you. Thoughts go out to Lance. Wish him a speedy recovery. But I've noticed that the Jets are really good at starting quarterbacks' careers that don't play for the Jets. We took it Bledsoe, Brady goes. We took it Taylor, Mayfield goes. Why can't we get it right for ourselves?
Right. Well, do you think now, and we had this conversation a little bit earlier, Sean, now the biggest winner from Sunday was Sam Darnold. So if this is the case, and the Jets are sitting there at number 2, I don't expect them to take Justin Fields. So it's a situation where maybe they acquire more picks and or add to the team. But Sam Darnold now still can be under contract for 2 years. You get a new coaching staff in there. He was obviously the big winner. So do you still believe in Darnold moving forward with a new coaching staff?
So like I was saying yesterday, and I know I broke up a little bit as I was trying to make my point, but Ryan Tannehill has led the Titans further than the Jets could even dream of going. So, yeah, I think with a better coaching staff and Joe Douglas actually building around Darnold, we got that left tackle. Let's get a first-round wide receiver. Let's stop gambling on second, third round, fourth round, whatever receiver it is. Get a premier receiver from the top schools. Let's see what Darnold can actually do. Go out and get Smith-Schuster, Darnold's favorite target from USC. I'm sure the Steelers would be willing to let that guy go.
Interesting, but Sean, it goes back to what one win can do. You're sitting there thinking, all right, Trevor Lawrence, all in, new franchise quarterback, and now talking about Sam Darnold. But it goes back to just winning one game and the different feeling it brings to the table.
But the thing is, even if we had Trevor Lawrence this season, how many games do you think the Jets have won?
Not a lot constructed like this. So it would be starting over, no doubt, rebuilding with a new coaching staff and 5 years of Trevor Lawrence, but at least 2 more of Sam Darnold now.
And that's the thing. College game changes all the time. When's the next generational quarterback going to pop up?
That is a fantastic question. Sean, appreciate the phone call this morning, man. And
Appreciate you, gentlemen. Have a good
thanks,
one.
man. You too. And it's, yeah, I think we've seen good quarterbacks pop up. No one thought Justin Herbert was going to be that dude. When you look at the evolution of a Josh Allen, yeah, these guys are top 10 picks, but as quickly as they've hit, how their game has evolved. So there's always going to be that quarterback or another guy that you stumble across. But it does feel like Trevor Lawrence has elevated himself into one of those elite prospects of guys that all right, you pick this, it's going to have that Andrew Luck feel. I get it. Andrew Luck did not win a championship, but he was a quarterback that turned the Colts franchise around. Tommy, you're up next on the opening drive. What's up, Tommy? How you doing?
Pretty good, guys. Tom the Truth back at you. Want to wish you guys a happy holiday coming up for Christmas. Had a question. Last night, you see Pittsburgh, they've lost 3 in a row. What's going on with them? They look like they were just going through the motions. Cincinnati looked like they came ready to play last night. And your opinion on the team that could challenge Kansas City, to me, honestly, in the AFC is Buffalo. I like the way that team's built. And then in the NFC, I would say it's the Saints because I think they got enough team speed to keep up with them. And how do you guys feel about that? I was staying Pittsburgh for a while, but now that they've lost 3 in a row, I don't know what's going on with them. And like I said, you guys have a great Christmas. I'll probably call before New Year's. And make sure you get plenty of Mad Dog in your refrigerator for Christmas. Extremely important.
Right, Tommy, be stocked up. You don't want to be caught empty-handed on Christmas. Steelers are a bad football team. That's what happened. Is life came at them fast. They were good enough to get by the rest of the schedule. They were 11-0, and you give them credit. But when you start breaking them down right now, they're not good. They can't run the football. The linebacking core is devastated. So what was giving them a chance, that defense getting by, playing tough games, got beat by Ryan Finley last night. Like, he was running around, scoring, making passes, or converting on third down, so they lose that edge. And Ben Roethlisberger is a quarterback stuck in quicksand. He can't move. He can't throw the football down the field. So this quick pass game, they were getting by. Teams have adjusted. They know what to take away. They know, hey, he can't beat us over the top. So you pack the box. You jam the receivers at the line, and they're not winning underneath. And the Steelers are in a very bad position. They're going to the playoffs, but I don't see how they change that. What the switch is going to be where all of a sudden that offense looks good, and they're able to make plays against good football teams in the postseason, because the Bengals did that to you last night. You're on this 3-game losing streak. It was the one thing when their undefeated season was stopped by Washington, because Washington can play defense. They got a legit front seven. It's another thing when you have 7 yards of passing in the first half against the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't think that's fixable at this point in time for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm with you. The team in the AFC that can push Kansas City is Buffalo, because they have Pat Mahomes light. I am sold on Josh Allen's evolution this season. I love the way that offense has looked. Stephon Diggs has been a home run addition for that football team. And it's like the SEC championship game. When you're trying to compete with Alabama, it's not necessarily, hey, we have to have a great defense and ball control. It's, you got to be able to score with this team. It's, to beat Kansas City, what did the Raiders do? They scored 40 points. So the Saints had the defensive game plan. The Saints have a defense that can play with Kansas City. They balled out in that first half. They still trailed at halftime because they didn't have anything offensively. So to me, it does start with the offense, and you have to go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes, and you have to win a shootout to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. 2460610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. Still get your emails in, jj@610knml.com, on the Twitter _JJBuck. Got Micah, got Alden, Josh holding it down on the ProView side. It is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Call it as Javi's looking, and he's got a guy wide open, and it's Gay, and he's gonna walk into the end zone. But he did a good job with it. First and goal, it's Chavez to the middle, and Chavez stops.
And Stevens in motion. On the handoff to Mitchell. Look out! Oh, see you later. Take it to the house. Fly. Cardinals fly. To the other side. Provide some protection. And off to Webskowski again. Look out. See you later. Good night. Touchdown. Webskowski. Day. He's going to fire to the end zone. Open man! Touchdown! Wild catch! Not a defender inside. A little bit. Skowski on the sideline! Hasta mañana! He's off to the races! Touchdown! Clovis!
Albuquerque this afternoon.
34-24 Rancho, late in the third. How about this run? Nice play. Dickerman, he's still on his feet. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Exactly what they want to get yards.
He's going to go for it. He's got a guy towards the end zone. It's Krebs. Touchdown. What a play.
And long here for the Storm. Handoff to, we're going to fake the handoff, excuse me. Davidson on the deep ball. He's got some space, and it's caught. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Storm. Wow. Santa Maria.
And so they'll send one deep and returnable at the 2. Usually Volcano do either a reverse or a fake reverse, and here it is a reverse. And a move to the outside. There is a lane. Look out! Shot out of a cannon. Rodriguez is going to take it all the way.
Let's get a little closer.
Oh, instead it's a gorgeous pass.
Here's what he'll
just shoot it.
He's going to go all the way.
He's going to fire at the buzzer, and he hits.
Great pass, Hadbury, and thank you very much.
Tie in the district. Inside. Fly. Eagle.
Chavez uses some athleticism. And then Morris down low, able to finish. You called it, Steve, in 10 seconds. And look at this. Stripped. Stolen Watson. Kristen Lucero beats the buzzer. Here's Ian Chavez, the sharpshooter. Got it.
Couldn't have said that anything better. He answered the question. He
On
got
a
another
steal
one.
at the buzzer. Back to back for Chavez.
To the paint. Medina from the volleyball lines. Medina wants another one from deep. Oh, he wants 10. Give him 10.
This is Baldwin. And he had it come loose. Another fumble. Washington State literally fumbling this game away. With 4 seconds to go. Almost impossible ending. Trying to put a period on it here. Roberts from 41. got it. It's over. And the Rams run roughshod in the dying moments to steal it. You may.
That was a crazy finish to one of the 14 New Mexico games. That was Colorado State and Washington State. Wazoo thought they had the game wrapped up. The Rams, late in that fourth quarter, just crazy plays, man. I think like Shaq Barrett was on the field for Colorado State that game. Mike Leach was on the sideline for Washington State, and somehow, some way, it was Colorado State game-winning field goal from the ashes to win that game. Just one of the many exciting bowl games that Jeff Siembieda and company has helped bring to the world. And this year's New Mexico Bowl will be played in Frisco, Texas. But Christmas Eve, the only college football bowl game on Christmas Eve, and marquee sporting event, because the NBA has Christmas Eve off. Of course, they got Christmas Day covered. The NFL is playing on Friday. So get a chance to watch Hawaii and Houston Thursday afternoon. New Mexico Bowl, not in the state, but still with plenty of flavor. Of course, the branding, the commercials, hashtag NMTrue. And when we can all get back out there, hopefully sooner rather than later, but keep grinding, staying safe so we can get to that moment where we can all be together once again at the New Mexico Bowl. JJ Buck Micah, Alden and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. 2460610 is Equan's Auto Care hotline. You can get your emails in, JJ at 610knml.com. Got one from Terry. He says Supernatural is his rewatchable show. If we're talking about that, like, what are you rewatching over and over? Chris Jans, New Mexico State head coach, their basketball team was on pause for 12 days, finally got back to the court over the weekend. You had some positive COVID tests within the program. So he said, as he was trying to kill time, being in their hotel in Phoenix, he watched Breaking Bad for the second time. Terry says, I've watched all episodes numerous times of the story of Sam and Dean Winchester from Lawrence, Kansas, saving the country from vampires, demons, shapeshifters, and all their bad creatures. Based on a true story, okay, maybe not, but glad to see Coach Ware all grown up in his polo shirt. Wish him the best. Hope they can figure it out. Lance, get better soon. Merry Christmas to you. May the nurses give you a little extra of the good stuff during your stay. Edward, awesome being a good friend to Lance. That is from Terry. Of course, Lance got the update from Edward in the hospital, so our best wishes to our crazy Uncle Lance and our sports animal family. This is from Freddie on Lobo Basketball. Says, I saw an undisciplined basketball team. It appears to me that Ware still thinks he's in the WAC. It reminds me of an athletic New Mexico State team, but the Lobos won't be playing UTRGV, Chicago State, Cal Baptist, UMKC, and the like. He thinks it's going to be a long year from Lobo basketball. I'm not ready to go there just quite yet after one game and such a weird start to the season, not having the same amount of practice time, not getting a chance to take these lumps against other teams like it just happened to be. Boise State was the Lobos' first real test on the basketball court. Now there's still a lot of questions, I agree, especially offensively with this basketball team. How are they going to create? Who can step up and be another scorer alongside Makwach Malawach? Because Malawach is a 1,000-point scorer. The dude has had a good Lobo basketball career, but is he the player that can be the number one scorer on a team? It can work if they buy in to havoc basketball, to pressing full court, to being a team that grinds everything out. Didn't do that last night. Got shocked and went up against other athletes, other basketball players that are bigger than 6 foot on the court, and it was an eye-opening experience. So yes, there's a lot of work to do, and that learning curve might be longer than some Lobo fans would like. This season, with the challenges and the new faces on the roster, this is one of the youngest teams in terms of roster continuity in the entire country. And that's what you run into in some situations when have seniors moving on, the amount of players that the Lobos lost due to transfer, but you had to bring in. This team needed a new foundation. character, team chemistry, those teams seem like they've been fine. Paul Weir has liked the way the players have responded at this point in time, and now it's the effort, the execution aspects on the basketball court that you can only get better at by struggling at times. And that's what happened last night, but they're back at it tomorrow night in Boise, of course, this season where it's these 2-game conference series, and you move forward. So we'll definitely preview game 2 a lot more tomorrow. You hear more from Paul Weir today. Should be, don't quote me on this, but potentially a first Lobo talk of the season. But we should hear more about, and that is correct, right, Micah?
Yes, it is today
yes,
at
so, yes.
5.
So first Lobo talk of the season, expecting to hear from Mike Bradbury, women's coach, and Paul Weir tonight. So you can hear that right here on the Sports Animal at 5 o'clock. So you can be able to get a sense, all right, Paul was able to take a step back last night, talk with his coaches, relook at that, and then what the message to the team will be going into game 2, because you're not going to throw everything out. So all right, how are we adjusting now that you guys have had that experience? How will you react on the court as a player? So look forward to listening to that tonight, especially, Mike Bradbury. Their team is on an extended hiatus. They don't have any games scheduled until they open up conference play on December 31st. So you can hear Lobo Talk tonight right here on the Sports Animal starting at 5 o'clock. We'll talk more basketball tomorrow, scheduled to talk with Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque Journal, of course, beat writer for Lobo basketball. Talk some hoops, preview tomorrow night's game, and get a sense of the rest of the Mountain West Conference. Big thank you, of course, to Michael holding it down at Radio Ranch, Alden and Josh on the ProView side, and of course to all of you for listening and participating in this show this morning. We got Jim Rome coming up next, Dan Patrick Show at 1, Sports Bar at 3, followed by Lobo Talk right here on the Sports Animal. I'm JJ Buck, everybody. Meta World, peace and love. Stay safe, be healthy, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides looking, still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. One man to beat. Touchdown. Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
Third and 6. Big defensive play coming up here. Little trickery to Reese. See you later. Touchdown. They went for the deep ball to Reese.
To the right, single receiver split to the left. Play fake, and up off the middle's got some room. 50, 45, 40, has one man to beat. 30, 25, 10, 5, touchdown. Touchdown, Hope.
Wow.
On a
Option again, he'll keep it. Now he'll pitch it. Comes out to the 30, 25, 20, up the sideline. Still inbounds, into the end zone. Let's see.
Touchdown.
Touchdown, Portel.
The outside of running an out route. Davis in the play action, looking. back to Lewis, and Lewis makes a cut, and Lewis still on his feet. Dorian Lewis is in for a touchdown.
So Davison back to toss it. He's got all day. Makes one miss, and he's rolling.
He's got a guy. Can he get it there? Davison to Luke Weissong.
We told you he
touchdown.
Could spin that football, and that was a throw right there. I know he's got the wind in his back, but